We'll call the meeting to order. We don't have anyone to do the invocation. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello?
We'll do roll call.
Commissioner LeBlanc present.
Commissioner Gardner present.
Commissioner Gleason present.
Present. We'll note that Commissioner Brandhorst isn't shown up, and we have our attorney, Ms. Myers, on call. Do we have citizen participation tonight? Mr. Slavin?
Yes, ma'am. Ed Slavin, box 3084, edslavin.com. I'm honored to be running for the board. In 1943, my father was bitten by a mosquito in Sicily as a paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne. Got malaria, messed him up for life. He's recovered in Army hospitals, but I saw in my dad's lifetime effects. And it was 12 years before they could have their only child. Yeah. But appreciate all that you're doing. Waiting on some records requests that I sent to Dr. Shu some time back, and appreciate all you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Howell?
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
This is strictly not on the agenda. I'll just show you. Somebody needs to take care of these tables.
All right.
I don't know who the maintenance person is right now, but anyhow.
They all do it, there's a lock underneath.
Okay, well, it's not good because you're sitting there with a drink or whatever, and you'll all be wearing it. So I just thought we'd make the adjustments.
Duly noted, thank you.
You gonna take care of it?
Sure thing.
All right.
Thank you, Ms.
Asked and answered, right? Anyone else? Former Commissioner Mueller, did you have something?
I do, but it's on the agenda.
Not till be back, okay.
And then I'm probably leaving.
All right. I'll call for approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
All in favor? All righty. And approval of the consent agenda.
I have a change. I want to put pull number 8 and make it number 5 in unfinished business.
Okay.
And I don't know if I can ask this question without moving. The Beacon meeting, International Beacon meeting, where is that? Where is it?
New Orleans.
New Orleans? That's it.
Okay.
Move number 8 to unfinished business.
Yeah, number 5.
Number 8 is number 5, okay. Do we have a motion to approve consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the change of number 8 in the consent agenda, South Gulf CDC Vector Center Agreement to be moved to unfinished business number 5.
All right.
I'll second.
All righty, all in favor? All right, thank you. Ms. Myers, discussion number 1, unfinished business.
Sure. You have in front of you a proposed resolution to establish an auditor selection committee. The board's current policy was adopted in 1997, so it is in need of an update to come into compliance with current state law that has been adopted since your policy. This resolution establishes the duties of the audit committee, which are consistent with those required by Section 218.39 of the Florida statute. It establishes a 5-member committee composed of 1 board member who serves as chair and 4 residents, 1 each nominated and appointed by the commission, the board. It sets forth eligibility requirements, generally requiring a knowledge of accounting, auditing, and financial management expertise. That criteria is generally established by the and required by the statute. And it requires that the commission the committee, is subject to the Sunshine Law, shall meet at least quarterly, and shall serve as volunteers without compensation.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept a resolution.
Okay,
Have
Commissioner.
discussion without the rest of
Okay.
the motion. You can't have that first and a second, and then you have discussion.
All right.
So I'm trying to follow.
All right, go ahead.
So I make a motion to approve a resolution of the Anastasia Mosquito Control District creating an auditor selection committee designating the membership criteria and terms of office of the auditor selection committee, establishing the purpose and duties of the auditor selection committee, and providing an immediate effective date.
Okay,
Is there a second?
do we have a second, Commissioner Becker?
Sure,
Okay,
yes.
and then discussion, please.
So, Ms. Myers, my only concern is, especially when we're going to have a new board soon, possibly, what if the board members cannot find someone, if each board member has to nominate someone, what if they can't find somebody, then what happens?
So you have a lot of flexibility here. You can put an application and invite interested members of the public to participate and be appointed to this board. If other board members know of more than one person who might be good, they can share those names and offer them. This was just a way to provide a nomination where each board could participate essentially in the audit committee, whether as the chair or by appointing someone that they knew and trusted.
But they can't appoint
You
themselves.
could,
No, only one board member.
Okay.
so as proposed, there's just a five-member committee with only one board member. If additional members of the board would like to serve on this committee, we would need to revise the resolution. You may serve. You will need to be eligible and either get that training or have that expertise in auditing and accounting and financial management in order to be eligible to serve.
Yep.
And
So-
how will we have, did you say you're gonna make an application and then, say if I know someone, I can send it to them and then the whole board looks over it? Or we just nominate
It's up to you.
whenever?
It's up to you. I don't know how you appoint committees now. In other communities I have served, they have invited interested persons to fill out an application or to give their name to the local government clerk so that their name can be thrown in the hat. You can do that with or without an application. It's entirely up to you. You can do something much less formal than that by just word of mouth, telling people you know that you're looking for people to sit on this audit selection committee. If you know someone who is eligible, has this expertise, have them give you a call.
And
They have to demonstrate the expertise, correct?
That's up to you how you want them to demonstrate that, whether it's with their resume, whether it's just by general knowledge, that's up to you.
And the other things I saw missing was when will this start and when does the selection process end? Or do we need to
So
decide that?
The resolution would be effective immediately upon adoption. I would recommend that in the next meeting or two, you put an agenda item, you have a regular agenda item to seat that committee with your 4 appointees.
Can we follow up on that, given that there's an election coming up? Is there something that gives us the flexibility to postpone the selection until the new board is seated?
Yes, that's absolutely fine. You can change the effective date, or you can just keep it off of the agenda until the results of the election are known. And some education is given to the new commissioners if need be, on their responsibilities on the appointment.
Okay.
So what do you all think? Do we pass this now and then start asking people and come up with a date, or do
So
we?
we could say effective January 1st, 2025, as opposed to effective immediately. or we can not take it up, that's what you said, not take it up in any of the future meetings in 24 and pick it up, back up in 25, correct?
That's correct.
So we can still pass it and then just take it up.
So do we need to amend it and then pass it?
We would amend it, if I understood you correctly, we would amend it if we say we want to delay the date of the being effective, or we can delay it just by not taking it up in the next two
Just not
meetings,
voting, yeah.
correct?
That's correct.
If we want to
Either path.
postpone.
All right,
If you
so
want.
we'll just
I think
table
you
it.
can.
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
I agree, so it'd
Yeah.
be postponing it for a couple months, yeah, basically, that's.
But we can still vote, what she said, postponing, meaning that we don't talk about who's going to be appointed in the next meeting. We can still vote on this today, just not take up the people.
Just
and
not
neither-
create the,
Not create the selections in next month or the following month, just do it after the new board is seated. Does that
That's
make
correct, like
sense?
until January or February to make the appointments.
But we could start telling the public
Yes,
about it and
yes.
gain interest in it.
Yeah,
now.
so
Okay.
my recommendation is for us to vote on it, because I think
okay.
it's what we need to do.
Yeah.
You comfortable with that? Okay. All in favor? Okay. Passed unanimously. 4 out of 5.
I think we still have to ask if there's comments on this.
Oh, are there comments from the public regarding this? I don't see anyone. Okay,
Just in case.
all right, thank you. Dr. Shu?
Thank you. Yeah, AMCD built the Disease Vector Education Center, purpose is to promoting public education about preventing and control mosquito and mosquito-borne disease, save people's life through public education and control effort of mosquito and the vector. Also, in the meantime, AMCD uses DVEC to show who we are, what we are doing, and how to contact us for service. Due to the construction operation of DVEC before funding by AMCD, a special government through local tax funding, there are different ideas. I asked the people, or including board members, different direction. And should we, DVEC should collect the administration fee, and who should pay for this? Some suggestions are visitor from outside of Xinjiang County, or pay the admission fee, or discounted rate for Xinjiang County residents. So they're all different ideas. So I think the DVEC bring more visitors from outside of Xinjiang County, also bring more business to our local people, Xinjiang community. Probably DVEC will attract more visitors without a charge, maybe bring more visitors. If there is no charge for the administration fee, people may think it is not worth to visit. If you not everything free, things are maybe not worth yet. Also, some revenues collect some money from a visitor. My assistant with the DVEC option cost. In the past couple of years, and based on different direction, and the staff have served the administration fee from the local no-government museum attached for your references before. So after the last since the grand opening March 26, I visit every day and ask the visitor. Still has a different idea. Also, we have a community meeting, staff meeting, and look at online check. I was a little bit confusing about should we collect the administration fee or not, who should pay the fee. So after the several months started, that's finally made my put in the recommendation, no admission fee for DVEC, because tax paid already for the building, tax paid for the operation daily, where we need to still collect the administration fee. I finally made my decision, no administration for DVEC. If we can save 1 or 2 people's life, that's money much worse than we collect this small fee. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shu.
I have
Ms. Moeller?
So,
Even though I'm no longer on the board, never was there a discussion that St. Johns County residents should ever pay a fee for any of the tours, right along with their service calls, because they've already paid for that in taxes. millions of dollars have gone into that facility over there. And the last thing we want to do is charge taxpayers for the second time. They've already paid for it, so I'm glad to hear that. As far as people being out of the county, I certainly don't have a problem with that. But I'm glad to hear Dr. Shu has decided not to charge St. Johns County residents. I think you would definitely have a huge problem. So I would recommend that you probably not charge that. But I haven't heard any amounts of fees that you want to charge out of state or out of county fees. So what are you going to do when you have an open house and you have people from the state? Are they going to pay? Or are you not charging because you're doing an event?
My recommendation, no charge for all. Because they're coming here, they bring their business to our local community. We tax the people. We bring business to them. They need a hotel, they need a restaurant, they need also the mosquito-borne disease without counting
Right.
political
So-
power.
So when you write a policy for that, you need to make sure that that's included in the policy, because otherwise, every time you have somebody from the state come in who's out of county, you're violating what you're asking for. So make sure that you have a solid policy without a whole lot of loopholes. Otherwise, you're definitely being unfair. And my other question, even though it's not about fees, have we done anything else yet for other counties bringing in other school districts for field trips?
Yeah, we have from Jacksonville, Dewey County, from Flagler, for several counties, neighbor counties.
So, and remember, 80 to 100,000 kids come through here each January, February, and early March for field trips. And from as far away as Alabama, Georgia, even Louisiana, you might want to think about getting them in here and what you're going to pay, because I can tell you for a totally different reason than mosquito control, I've talked to 2 of the school board members, and they are definitely cutting back on their field trips because they don't have enough school bus drivers, and they really don't have money for that extra pay and the gas. So what we started off for is not what we're ending up with, just to give you a heads up.
Thank you. Ms.
You're
Muller.
welcome.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes.
I actually am in agreement. I don't believe St. Johns County residents should be paying any fee for the DVAC. When we started this, that was the intention. It was for prevention purposes, education purposes. So I don't want to see any fees for St. Johns County residents. The rest, I don't know. I'm fluid with that, but definitely not for St. Johns County.
All right. So do we need to, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we want to.
Madam Chairman, I'm glad Dr. Shu has made the decision, I guess, not to pursue a fee for people to come to a facility that us taxpayers paid for. I'd hate to have a home that's paid for, and I get to the door, I have to put money in a box to get in. I don't know how other people feel about that, but that just don't sit right with me. And I paid taxes on property for about 50-something years here in St. Johns County. And we led the charge to get the money to build this facility here. And we said that we would lower people's millage rate the next year as soon as they gave us the money. Commissioners know what I'm talking about. So as far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm living, I will fight to the tooth not to have a fee on this was built for our kids in St. Johns County.
Right.
I have strong feelings about that. And as long as I'm alive, I'll lead the charge to not charge for our children to come see something. We want to educate them. We get them interested. This is where we're going to get our future employees, our future scientists, maybe even future commissioners. So I just want to thank you for doing that. The other thing, I like to always do a poll on things. And so I've been out and about. And I've been asking about, and most of them tag it with the museum. And I know where that came from, how that got started too. So this is an educational facility. We need to keep it like that. We need to educate even the public about it. It's not a museum, it's something for our children. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we need to vote on that?
I
Oh, I'm
also-
sorry. Okay.
And I have a comment too.
Ed
All right.
Slavin, box 3084. I agree with every prior speaker and commissioners. Ed Slavin, box 3084. There's a line in the memo here I have to disagree with, that if there is no charge for admission, people may think it is not worth visiting. I disagree. The Smithsonian doesn't charge. The National Zoo doesn't charge. And I lived in D.C. for years and years on very small money as a student and then as a law clerk for the Department of Labor. The Smithsonian is free. And this is education, folks, and it's important. And if we educate somebody from Alabama and they don't get malaria or a mosquito-borne disease as a result, I mean, I saw my dad suffering from malaria my entire life. He had chills and fevers, and it messed him up for life. So I think education should be free. We should not put a tax on knowledge. We shouldn't charge anybody's school children. Now, if we want to have a large school group from Alabama come in, maybe work something out to where the school would pay, but I hate to be charging school children, anybody's school children, to come and see the museum. And I disagree with the premise that people may think it is not worth visiting if there's no charge. The Smithsonian is one of the best museums in the entire planet, and they don't charge. National Zoo, which they run, the same thing. So, and I think in the future, if we're going to talk about any fees, we ought to see if we can get the best experts, or cheap or free, an economist from the economics department at the University of Florida to check and see what are the elasticities of demand for museums. Government-owned museum, that's the relevant data point. Government-owned museums. Do government-owned museums that are educating people about disease vectors ever charge? I've never heard of such a thing. Anyway, but I agree with every other speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Becker?
So when we started talking about this many years back, the Smithsonian is what we used, or what I mentioned many times, and I spoke with many people from the Smithsonian about things we could do here for that, and I agree that it should be free. I think that when we talked to all the teachers, when we had our committees and the stakeholders, the teachers did mention that they want to charge something. So if it's $1, if it's something, because then it'll go to the bus drivers otherwise, like that's what they want. So we could maybe have a plan for school trips, to be determined or something and find it out. But I certainly don't think it should be, $20 or anything like that, like $1 or $2. And also for the record, it is not a museum, it's an educational center. And that's
Okay.
Do you have
Commissioner Gleason?
Thank you. I want to echo, I don't honestly think that a government agency should be charging the public at all unless they're incurring costs. So that's one. Secondly, there was malfeasance in this whole education center build. Reason for it, I have never heard of an organization building a facility and then trying to figure out how they're going to fund the operations. You should have a business plan when you build something. You don't build it and say they will come and then find out that we're going to need money to operate it. Folks, you don't build your house and then figure out, how am I going to pay for this? this is what you guys did. I wasn't here for the decision. But, and I have to own that now. But right there, it shows me the lack of financial understanding that you don't build something in the hopes that people are gonna attend, and then you're gonna try to charge the very same people, at least in the last discussion, that helped you build it to begin with. So I hope that we've learned from this experiment of ours, that in the future, if we ever are running across anything like this, that we don't do it this way again. So that's all my comments, my lecture.
Actually, yeah,
Commissioner
there
Becker?
is one thing that I wanted to add to that too, is it does take funds to run this operation. And so because taxpayers already paid for it, because we have so much money in reserves, I think we should allow the funds that are needed to operate the daily operations and salary to come from the reserves and not from the direct fund, since we have, and taxpayers already paid for it.
Thanks.
Have we gotten to the point that we know exactly what it's gonna take to run this?
No, I think that's premature. I think it's going to take us, about a year to figure out what it takes to run it, so we can always revisit this. We're not making a decision that we can't change in the future if it becomes necessary.
So I'll make a motion to approve Anastasia Mosquito Control District to allow anyone that wants to come to the Disease Vector Educational Center for free, no matter what state or country or county or maybe planet they're from.
Very-
If it's no charge, I'll second that.
All right.
I couldn't hear what she said. She never speaks.
No charge to
Excuse
attend
me?
the education center.
Ma'am,
free.
you're out of order. I did speak into the mic. Don't say I never speak loud.
For free? Did you
Yes,
say?
for free.
Yes, that's fine.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion on it?
Fine.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion on it? Does anyone else have anything they want to add? Okay.
Is there
All
public
in
comment?
favor? Passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay. The next item on the agenda is approval for Commissioner Brandhurst to attend the FMCA annual meeting. I'm not sure who needs to present that.
Commissioner Brad Housley asked to join the Florida Mosquito Control Association meeting. It will be next week and November 4 after next week to 7.
Okay.
But based on policy, our commissioner election officer going to business out of the county have to get the board approval.
Okay.
So that's the reason I list on the.
Commissioner Becker?
Commissioner Brandhurst, are you presenting at the meeting?
No, I'm not.
Since you're not, then I will make a motion to deny the request.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye. I don't know, did you get everybody to vote? Has everybody voted?
Motion to deny.
Motion to deny, yes. Are you going to vote to deny or not?
I'm opposed.
You're opposed. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
I'm sorry it did not pass. Okay. Mr. Hannah.
Good evening. Scott Hanna, Anastasia Mosquito Control District CFO, presenting the financial treasurer's report. So from top to bottom, you've got the cash balances. And actually, because this is the September 30th bank reconcile, these are actually the ending fund balances that came in for the year for where the fiscal year ended. So these are the actual ending true fund balances. I'm not sure the auditor would even make any kind of accrual adjustments to these because they're reconciled. But the first number is from the Wells Fargo operating account, $775,919. That actually, at the end of that next business day, would have bumped back up to 1.5 million because of the sweep. The sweep account always has a minimum of 1.5 in there. So when the cutoff of the bank statement came out, it must have just been right at the end of that period where the next day it would have bumped right back up to the 1.5. And then the sweep would have been reduced. So the sweep account, which is Wells Fargo also, that's the other investment account, 2.8 million in round numbers. The Florida Prime is 5.9 million. And that's the fund that if we do need some extra money, that's where we will pull off of. If we need some large sums of money and put that back probably in the Wells Fargo operating account. Bank of America, that's more for bill paying. $277,210. The next line is for income sources. That month there was no tax levy revenue. SBA Florida Prime, return on investment 5.33%, and that was $25,992. The Wells Fargo sweep account, which is still pretty good, it's 4.79%. That brought in $15,813.55. Surplus sales had a little influx of some of the obsolete. A lot of times there are pieces of equipment, outdated things that different people bid on, and that we brought in a total of almost $2,000 for that month. There was some from the prior month also. I think the bulk of it actually went out the door in September. Next line is the donations. The DVE Center has the donations box, brought $174 in. Concessions for the DVEC Center is $876.26. Total deposits, revenue sources for that month, $44,818.10. And then the next report below is the September DVEC Center operating. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Where are we with the DVEC?
Oh, yeah,
we done?
sure. No, actually, it's getting pretty close. I met with Richard, and we have $30,377.98 left. The amount that's definitively known that we owe, that's clear, cut, dry, is $13,800 out of that. Remaining actual balance would be $16,577. Now, he does have another little amount of estimated to finish, and he's got vendors listed, and Dr. Shu and I have a copy of that. And these are all the standard vendors that have been working on the project throughout, display vendors. They estimate about 57,000 in progress displays yet to be finished.
So we're gonna be over.
It'd be over, I'm looking at 27,000. He said maybe 40,000 could finish it off, but of course that's something that we would have to come to you.
Yeah.
Like ASAP.
Yeah.
Because we're getting,
This thing is, you knew this, and he should have had something ready for this meeting. Because now we're likely, he's saying 40 grand over budget, right?
we're not gonna,
Approximately.
as far as I'm concerned, I'm not gonna let it walk a penny over the budget
Or
unless
you
I have
mean
your
40
permission.
total or 40 on top?
About 40,000 on
More,
top, yes.
on top.
That's, well, right now, it looks like a hard number is about 27,000.
But he's saying.
He's saying 40,000 would be reasonable to finish it off over.
We need to cut
That's,
bait on
and that's
this.
your call.
We really do need to, because I don't know exactly, I don't think the board, Trish, unless you know.
I saw
No.
this
What it-
one, but
what
maybe
it
it'd be
is
nice
that-
if we all had
oh,
copies of this.
Yeah, it would be nice to have copies of what it is, and
Maybe have it.
this doesn't explain, actually, display name, unless, Tricia, yeah, this one, I know. Yeah, the names of the vendors and what it is, doesn't tell me exactly what
what it
I mean,
is.
I don't
Actually,
know
he
what it
has like
is.
what development phase.
Can
I mean, we could give you a better report. In fact, like this week, if you want to call me, I mean, I'll give you my, and
No,
tell
I'm
me.
just saying, you're being put on the spot, and honestly, you should be told, if I'm gonna be $40,000, what am I spending for another 40 grand?
Sure.
And why do I need another 40 grand spent?
Well, actually, I mean, there is a breakdown, and I know you didn't have time to, you probably haven't seen this, you didn't review it, so, or
What-
absorb
it's-
absorb it,
it's-
but
It's for you, it's for, I just
Sure.
saw it, and it doesn't tell me anything, because it doesn't, it says display name, I don't know what it is, and it gives me the vendor, I still don't know what that vendor does, so it would be nice if you had a he gave you a description of the actual activity that's taking place, like, is it for?
well, actually, each
I
one of
think
these,
Mostly for signage is what,
Signage?
really, signage and computer stuff is what we're holding on. really.
each one of these could be, and I gotta admit it, I lay reports out
That stuff
differently.
takes forever to do.
Each one of these could be tied directly to a vendor and a dollar amount. It shows what phase they're in, and then it's got the vendors and the estimated amounts to finish what's in play here, which I highlighted on my copy. So I could ask Richard to ASAP, take this report, tie these in progress elements to each vendor and make it a more clear report. I could email him as soon as we leave here.
Here's my proposal. My proposal is, I don't want to spend another dime.
Okay,
So,
and that's your decision, yeah, I mean,
unless it can be justified that it's needed.
okay, sure.
Because we keep asking, at least I keep asking every month, how close, it was supposed to be done September 30th, and we gave them leeway. Now we're sitting at the end of October, and we're still not done, and now we're hearing that we're gonna be 40,000 from him, not you. You're saying a hard 27, he's saying 40, and I'm going, I don't know if I trust that come the next meeting, I'm gonna be sitting in the same position, and that number that was 40 now goes up to another, goes up.
And that's, yeah, that's,
So,
Well, I will say for this, like, these people here, like the designs and stuff, that's for all the stuff that says in development, but you're right, it doesn't like
yeah.
show exactly, this person does this, but
And you
that's
say-
what the funds are for.
So
is
the,
for-
yeah, the hard 27 I get, because you already have.
Yeah.
It's been billed, you said it's been billed but not paid?
well,
Or is it
actually,
billed or paid, or?
that's his estimate, like what he thinks to make this the coup de grace. But really, the part above it is the real number.
Which one, the
Right above that where you see
30?
30 and then amount known that's owed as of date is 13,800.
So that's the number that you know of,
That we know of, that actually that they've done
That
work
we
on.
approve.
that we approved,
The 30,000 is what's left of what you approved.
right?
And then there's 13,000 that we know is owed. The
And then
difference is that
there's-
next number, remaining balance. Below it is his total amount, what he really
So he's
thinks.
going 40, that 57,000.
So
he
57
said.
minus 30 would be $27,000
Yeah.
in round numbers. And that's where you have to decide, and you could say, well, I don't think the AMCD vision,
Is that
display is
57,000
necessary-
started?
well, I'm sorry?
Is that 57,000,
No,
that
part of
work
it's-
has been started?
that's what he thinks to make it the perfect piece of history.
I'm not looking for
Senator,
perfect
to
piece
make
of
it-
history. I mean,
To
this
make
board-
it, well, exactly, it's a qualitative decision.
It's pretty perfect right now.
You guys
I
are
mean,
enjoying
what
it
are-
the way
what
it
are we-
is.
What are we aiming for here, like,
I-
you know, Smithsonian level? I'm like,
I live 20 minutes
honestly-
outside the
I
Smithsonian,
can't
so I
stand, I
didn't.
mean, this is,
I was just gonna say that basically there's only one that has not been started, and that may be where the remaining money is. But if you look
Which one's
at
not
construction status, so if you look under section 10, display wall, video, mosquito control history, that's not started. So everything else is either done or with a partial completion, right? And so there's still a couple of costs that are associated with that. But as far as what has not been started, there's only one thing. So everything else in there
It's in progress.
is either at the printer getting ready to be put up and installed,
Put already.
or
So,
finalizing.
so
There's a
so
lot-
you're telling me it's got approved, because I don't know how much that not
No.
started cost.
Now, I'm not speaking dollars, because I don't have that situational awareness, but what I'm saying based on, and if you, this week, we had 3 or 4 walls installed in there. So there's a lot that went in this week that is absorbed in the cost already,
And
right?
which one, in the
The
13 or-
13,800.
Okay. I'm okay with the 13 because it's still within budget.
Well, we
Yeah.
still have 16,000.
Right.
But based on his assumption, and what I'm understanding from Scott is that it may be an additional.
But we did not approve for
No.
him to go over.
And that's,
We never approved
And he's
overage.
not going over.
we,
He's saying
as of right
57.
now, he's not gone over, and and A and myself, we've got our own, we're
But-
tracking it
but
additionally.
Let me pause you a second.
Sure.
This is what I'm asking, I'm trying to, he hasn't gone over yet, but if he green lights the project, so let's say he green lights a project, or he has already, I don't know how much the not started is worth. I don't know what the cost is associated with that.
He is a red light for me, like,
Yeah,
I don't care if they finish something, if it goes a penny over, I'm not cutting the check.
Yeah.
But
So
you're
it's,
gonna owe it,
and
though.
I've explained that to him. I
Yeah,
mean,
Richard's is not initiating more work.
Okay, but he's saying there's.
He's saying that he thinks, based off of what's left after we meet the $30,377.98 that's left, that the estimated amount in his mind would be another 20, and then at that point, he would come to the board.
Yeah.
So it would be a
he's
total
alerting you
of
now.
57,000, or he's asking for an additional
My-
57,000?
No, my interpretation, the whole thing's 57,000,
So it's 20,000 over.
27,000. And
27,000
then
over
he said,
budget.
well, can they round it to 40,000? But
No, we don't round
that's,
that way.
that's your call. But we've
But
been
why would
watching it,
we-
he's watching it, we've
So
been
knowing-
communicating to him.
So knowing the pain that we got to the number that we got in June.
I don't
Knowing
wanna-
all that,
yeah.
why would we even be even
Having this
dancing
conversation.
with 20,000, 27,000 more?
To finish it.
I mean, no, you don't do, I mean, it was a robust project. None of this is new. None of this is new. This was known in June. And now we're saying it's gonna cost, and round number another 40,000. That's not right. Okay.
And we're
So,
letting you know before. and
I'm
we're
gonna
not-
vote to
yeah.
holding him to the number. What everybody else decides to do is on their own, conscience, not mine. But I'm gonna hold him to whatever's left, which is 16,577.56. If he goes beyond that, he knew he was going beyond that in June when the number was approved.
And that's the board's decision. I was asked to bring it to you, and we have done what we were asked to do, not have it go over budget, and it has
No,
not.
you haven't brought it to I asked the question. If I hadn't asked the question, I wouldn't know.
Actually, that's why I had it here. I knew it was going to come up. I was going to alert you to how much we have
It's
left.
not even the agenda. Okay.
Um,
Thank you, though, but I'm
Sure.
trying to, it's on the board's head if they're the ones that keep letting the budget slip.
Okay.
Excuse me, Chair. Yeah, Lady and I discussed in next meeting, November, there will be EVEC close out, or give report and done.
Final report.
Yeah, it was next meeting on the agenda. They come in, we'll give close out, report everything done.
But then we're not gonna be done, because he's saying he needs
Still-
27,000
Still
more.
1 month.
No, he says he needs more than what's on this.
Yeah, he needs 27,000 more to finish it.
So is he coming back to ask for more money? Or is you guys just gonna go and spend the money?
No, I'm the gatekeeper on the money, so.
I'm holding you to that.
Yeah, exactly, so.
Anything have said, you have to bring it back to both.
Because that resolution said anything
Yes.
above that number has to come back to the board
Yeah.
for approval.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
mean, we have that, like you said, we don't know how much goes into the mosquito control history display wall, which that's the wall that, like,
It's done.
when we first walk into the left, that wall.
Right.
I don't know, could we save some money with that? I don't know, that's
Yeah,
the only
that's-
thing that hasn't been started, so maybe we could tell them to pause that, but I don't know if that's only $1,000.
He's not doing it. That's the point, is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Richard is stopped at, he's just saying he thinks based off of the, work that's been done, what he's getting quotes for or prices for, that it would be an additional $27,000. But even if we're at 95%, and we meet that budget, that's it. And then he's going,
Okay.
so.
He'll come to us and ask. for
Correct,
money.
if,
Okay.
if
If
he's
that's the
directed
case.
to.
Okay, that's where I was trying to.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, we don't,
Yeah, that's what we're like, do we need that now?
Because I was remembering the resolution, it said anything above that number has to come back. So-
Thank you, Mr.
and A is my assistant gatekeeper, and I won't be here tomorrow. And so, since A will be here tomorrow, I'm gonna instruct assistant gatekeeper to keep the gate.
Keep the gate
Yeah,
closed.
keep the gate locked.
Don't let that gate
guard it.
open. That's right.
So, we're at the treasurer's report.
Yes.
Did you have any questions on that? Yes, ma'am.
So, we have been getting a pretty good return investment on our sweep fund.
Uh-huh.
And for what we have in the DVC center, like to date from 23 to 24 in just regular costs says it's 90,000. If we needed to use, since we're gonna be not charging for anyone to come in, we need to pay for the lights, we need to pay for this stuff, would we be able to quickly move money out of the
Oh,
sweep
yeah.
fund?
Yeah, I'm able to do it the same day. Actually, the sweep fund, that has a parameter of 1.5, so that one's already set in motion. So 1.5 is what we always keep in the operating account. The next day it kicks anything. So say,
Well, I mean, I'm thinking we're
Yeah,
getting
actually,
at
it would-
least $25,000 a month for free, thanks to.
Interest. Yes, thanks
to
to
that.
Commissioner
That could
Gleason.
pay
If we-
for the center, and there you go, so.
if we.
See, we
wrote-
made lemonade.
Yeah, we made lemonade.
If we wrote checks over, like, okay, so in the sweep account, there is, let me see, so the sweep account on the top part, there's 2.8 million in there. So if we write checks that exceed the 1.5, anything up
Well,
to
it shows
2.
90,000 for a year, I mean.
Oh, yeah, but that's showing what the return on investment is.
Return.
But as far as the cash that's in there,
No, I'm talking about right here.
as of September 30th, there's 2.8 million in there. So anything that's above 1.5 in the operating account
Okay.
would just get sucked right into the,
Maybe I said
operating.
it the wrong way. What I meant to say is, so on this treasurer's report, under the DVEC, we have $90,000, 420. I'm saying if that's so much, if that has been the operating cost from October 23 to September 24, then it would be totally possible for us
Oh,
to use money out of the sweep
definitely.
account to pay
Cover
for
that.
that.
Right.
So maybe you could, we need to write a policy for that,
Where you can create an
you
account,
know,
a general ledger account,
yes.
that moves money towards the DVC.
That holds that money for us.
Yeah.
For the
we need to
DVC.
figure out a way,
Earmark
because
it.
it has to get paid, so
Yeah.
we need
Okay,
to
yeah,
decide
we-
how we're gonna pay that, and
Mhm.
if we're getting at a minimum
Sure.
of 25,000,
You
I
can
think,
just
you know.
create, I think the easiest way is for you to create a general ledger
Yeah,
revenue account.
yes.
And then move monies out of the investment return.
Yes,
over to
it'd
that
be a
account.
different asset account.
Yeah.
And that would be easy for you to do, or would this
Well,
take a
the
lot
general-
of additional work?
Doing a journal entry would work. We did try to do a separate, like, physical one in the accounting program, but reconciling it, it was tough to tie the two accounts together. Yeah, it's basically just the way you present it. So the balance sheet is where you'd see that. Most of what we look at here.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I want to make it more complicated. Would it be easy to create a sweep account dedicated just for the DVC? And put money in that, and then you know that money,
Oh, okay, so the sweep account.
like you have two.
A separate
one
sweep
ongoing
Oh,
account.
she's saying two sweep accounts. Yeah, we could, I mean,
And the one that's dedicated to the education center.
Sure.
But then how much would he put in?
Well,
I mean, we'll have to
you
figure
would have
We'd have to keep
Yeah.
funding it, we'd have to keep
No,
funding it
yeah.
as
it
needed.
will self-fund, if you set it
Sure.
up right, but, he would have to say what amount. would-
I have the auditor here next week, and those are kind of things that we do bounce
To figure it
ideas.
out.
Like her and I talk about things like this.
How about
So can
talking-
you add that on the list?
Yeah,
and then
well,
come
I
back to
think
the
we're
next
gonna
meeting
talk-
and we could
How
figure
about
out
also talking to Wells Fargo and asking
yes.
their recommendation? Because I think that might be a cleaner way, because you know, every time we look at this, we know how much the balance is to operate the DVAC.
I mean, either way, it's still money that's being housed in a bank account, like,
I'm saying that that's where you would sweep from to pay for operating
Yeah.
costs.
I think it'd be
think
easier to track the
might be
money
an
as well.
unnecessary, it actually might be another extra mechanical step that add complexity.
Well, you
But
know
I
where we're
think-
going, which is legal.
I see what you're saying, yeah. Okay, so
She had an idea, you come back with.
we'll
what's
come
the
up with
best.
some kind of
Yeah.
idea.
But I think the general consensus is if we can fund it through the earnings.
From
on
our
the
interest.
investment,
And
yeah,
taxpayers
that-
would love that.
Yeah.
And you just-
Okay, so
It's basically funding the operations out of the investment.
a
account.
and a presentment method, okay. We would also have to reasonably know what the operating cost of the DVEC
Well, that's
center
gonna
is.
fluctuate for a little
I
bit,
guess
right?
for a whole year.
Well, we
Okay.
know it's 90,000 right now,
Well,
so.
but that's, we're saying.
I know, that could change.
It wasn't
Like,
open.
Months
Yeah.
that we weren't in operation.
Yeah, what was
That's
official,
what
was it May that it was was
When did we
open?
open officially?
March, I'm sorry, yeah, and then there's gonna be some fixed asset repairs, and that's where it gets kind of messy, like
Yeah.
the big,
And we're gonna have to put some money aside for.
Have you guys talked to those vendors on, like, what's the estimated cost of repairs if any of those assets break? Like the ones that installed them, like, so you can start getting a feel for, like, just a question.
Some
that's something I think we will, yeah, I think we can
Discuss.
discuss. There's just a lot of different things moving around, a lot of moving parts here lately. But sure, we can.
But it should hold, the standard ratio of operating any business is like 60%.
I'm sorry.
To 60, if you're operating a business, you
Sure.
should know there's an operating
There's
ratio.
ratios.
Using a ratio, and maybe using, I'm not gonna use the word, the museums, what a ratio, operating expense ratio is for a museum to give you approximate number that we might be able to apply to the DVAC.
Okay. I'd have to look at which ratio, because there's different accounting ratios, and some of them encompass return on investment and assets, and some encompass revenues and assets, and.
You
but I-
go do that.
Figure it out.
You
I'll
figure
look-
out,
I'll look at
that's
which
your
ratios
see
would be
You have
applicable
been
to
given
this.
the idea,
Yes, ma'am.
go figure it
Okay.
out.
Because you don't have anything else to do, right?
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
sure, yes, we will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the next thing is the budget amendment. Not sure if you had any questions about that.
The budget amendment.
So you move things to
Yeah, the ending fund balance, and this is in terms of DAX. And keep in mind, DAX isn't as high of authority as the Florida Department of Revenue. They're the ones that give us the money. DAX, after the fact, they want to see where it's moving. So when we write the budget, we have an ending fund balance, which is just a projection based on the last budget, but then the final number comes in when we reconcile it. So the ending fund balance really came out to, and that's, if you look at your bank reconcile,
Yeah, 1.7.
it's 9.8, and we used the number as projected from the old budget is 8.1, and that gave us extra, we had excess money of about 1.7 surplus instead of the loss that we budgeted for. So there is some fat on the budget, I think, that can be trimmed, and
Yeah.
we are looking at some of the fat of the budget, and it probably wasn't a bad move that you decreased the millage, because that's how some of the fat gets absorbed, by decreasing the millage. Yes, ma'am.
On this, maybe we could add, under account number 9, maybe add an account 100 to be dedicated to the DVEC, so the state knows what we're doing and there's not any questions about what's happening.
Oh, you're saying on this DAX form, this is
Or
their,
that's theirs.
this is their template,
Yeah,
yeah,
so you have to.
that we have to use.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't, you don't have.
Okay.
We can't
I
fiddle
didn't
with
know
it.
if you
can
could
modify
enter
it.
it.
Yeah.
What- But it does have other account code, the other, so it does give you
Please select
flexibility.
other
Um,
accounting code.
You know what? I've
That's
never been
another
asked
one of
that
those
question.
questions, yeah.
So go back.
I mean, it's got 3 empty ones there.
It might as well happen now, because it's the first month,
Right.
so.
Yeah. I mean, the fact.
So we
that-
can do it wrong all year
You
long,
have
right?
to Go through a lot of numbers.
Really, the fact that we
That
don't
is
get
a
any
good
money currently, like, we don't get any funding from them, regular funding, like we used to.
My point of this is
Sure.
that mosquito control as a whole has a bullseye's target on it, and
Yes.
we do especially with Lee County. So I just want to make sure if the governor or anyone wants to see and they pull this up and they go,
Yeah.
"Where's all that money at?" We
You don't
could put
want-
something there so they could
Yeah.
see what's happening. So
Okay.
And reflect all the costs and the full budget there for that.
and then it's not going into like excess capital, future capital, and
Yeah, right.
and then they go, "What are you building in the future?"
So you're saying an additional expenditure account,
Yeah.
which makes sense.
Yeah, like how it has, right under 99, and it's got 3 that say other, please select other accounting code.
Okay, we can, yeah, we'll.
If there's
let's-
a way we could do that,
We'll
that
explore
would
it,
be
sure.
excellent.
It is under the contingency, and contingency is kind of an asset account where everything above that is an operating expenditure account. So let me,
But that's a big
let me see if that's an, if it matters, the fact that it's
Million.
below
Well,
the.
and this will be
Speaking
an
of targets,
operating account
yeah.
soon, so.
Yeah. I'd rather not have contingency look like it's huge, like it's $1,012,000. That
Actually, we use the max that we're allowed, and actually,
Hence our fat
that-
budget.
that's how much we can pull if there's an emergency, is up to $1 million. Like, we can't get, we're supposed to, per DAX guidelines, not go over
So
that.
the DVEC is somewhere else then, but you said it was in contingency.
No, contingency is actually the budgeted amount of money. If we go over budget on something, say there's a big emergency and we actually spend, if you look at all the main categories, number 10 through 60, if any one of those, like we have a bunch of sub-accounts within those that we keep, and that's more for our own internal budgeting purposes. But if any one of those, like, for example, utilities, number 43, if it's definitely obviously utilities, we suddenly have 100,000, we're gonna hit the 100,000 mark, and we have to then do a budget amendment and take it out of that contingency money. That's basically where you pull the max that you're supposed to pull in 1 year to amend the budget and give it the expenditures more.
So where is the DVEC right now, the budget for the DVEC? Is it across all the,
Well, actually,
Or is it not included?
it's spread across all the.
it's spread off, yeah, it's like a little piece of
The
each.
salaries is sitting in
The salaries will
personal
be
services.
in salaries, exactly, operating expenses.
Miscellaneous.
Okay. Well, maybe it doesn't make sense, I don't know.
Yeah, we mentioned it's gonna take a good year, more than, after this is finished,
Right.
the capital outlay will be done. We're gonna need a good year, or maybe 2 years of history to see what the reasonable operating cost to get that center, you know.
However, I do want to say, it was a great thing that we rolled back that millage even more. Because that millage would have been even higher.
Yep.
Sure.
Bigger target.
Bigger target, bigger.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve the amended budget amendment for FDAX.
I'll second.
All in favor? Unanimous?
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Hannah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Myers, you have the director's performance evaluation report.
I want to make sure it's my turn. Were you going to consider a grant agreement with the city of New Orleans?
Oh, wait, John.
We moved that to, or is that an
Oh,
unfinished?
it was unfinished business.
Oh.
Yeah, it was
Number
unfinished.
5.
Did I miss it?
Thank you,
I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Thank you.
So are we talking about Dr. Claus'
Yeah,
attendance?
I was talking.
No, South Gulf CDC Vector Center.
Oh,
agreement.
that's right, okay.
The big thing, the
Yeah, that,
big contract.
this year, actually last year, we applied too. CDC, they apply, we apply. So the CDC approve our application for 2-year effective, but no money available. So the money went to New Ireland, the city mosquito rodent vector control, and in Cross Terminator, they have a more wide coverage. So that the central director heard from a University of Florida professor, she got a PhD from UF. Yeah, she heard you got to get anesthesia joint. They're doing the work already. Everything's ready. Have the personnel, have the facility, or they build the disease vector education center. So they really like a leader of the nation in the field. Also the GLP. Then she came in first time, meeting us, visitor. She was very exciting. Then the second time she came into again, she want to get more detail. What can we to be partner? I said, we apply, sorry, we apply, we didn't get, you get. And first year passed already. And she said, then also your second year, you can start join us. I said, join us what can you funding for us? I said, definitely you can fund one people to some kind of basic salary, so the people can doing the work, okay, additional work for education, collect data for you, every 3 months report to you. Or we're doing the evaluation commission products. That's all in the mission. And second time she coming, and coming very exciting, get a little bit more information. I said, okay, let me ask our board. That's the reason I presented to board several months ago. First of all, we negotiate, discussing that. She said it has probably $75,000, $50,000 kind of funding personnel, like education specialist. I said, we have an education specialist. She said, I don't care. You can, everybody doing the work, just bill me for the cost for labor. For $50,000, they're doing over $50,000. And she said, you want to use our data. And Dr. Course do that, we with the military department defense grant for threat order, some data analysis. She's very exciting, and we have collaboration. She said, how much you need? She said, well, we need a research data, probably need $25,000. She said, okay, that's a very easy deal. Then in New Ireland, they have to request, we request MOU. It took us so long time. Then in June, the Saturday, she received the CDC finally approved letter, said, sorry, your budget cutting $150,000 cutting. The CDC cutting, not only you, so every program got cutting, CDC cutting. So then after the cutting, she finally gave us some MOU draft. She cut everybody. She said, I have to cover everybody. So you cut $15,000. She gave us $60,000 for the project. So the project, we are actually doing the work. Like we doing the intern training. We have annual workshop that can come in. They all free. They can give collect information every 3 months. We collect information like a DVEC. So how many people visit, how many adults, children. Just give their report data. That's what she basically needs. She doesn't care how much we build who. We plan deal with before with the CDC the grant and the Department of Defense grant. We build everybody who involved in the project. Like some, such as the education specialist involved, they give 20 hour, the DVEC 20 hour, like a core 10 hour, 5 hour. Everybody can make the hour, make the money to that set to that. So they can give a pay back to a reimburse. It's not a really specific situation.
Go ahead.
I have a really clear question, because I didn't follow that at all. So what exactly, because I read that grant,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to understand how we can even use the DVAC to fulfill
The
what that grant-
requirement.
the requirements of that grant. And back in March, I sent you an email. There's a form that CDC requires as part of the grant submission, the requirements, that is supposed to be New Orleans or whoever got the Gulf
South
South
Florida.
Collaborative is supposed to list all the vendors that they're going to use. And I wanted to make sure that we were listed in that approved vendor list. Because we lost that grant application. So we lost it, we applied for that same grant and we lost it. And that's for New Orleans, Louisiana, Texas, and Alabama. And honestly, I didn't see anything in the contract unless I missed it, where it says that they're sending people here to be trained in the DVAC. It sounds like our people are going somewhere. And that was not in the spirit of what I thought we were doing. So I'm confused. I'm thoroughly confused as to, and they're gonna pay for our salaries of our DVAC coordinator. I don't know how that is within the spirit of the grant that they applied for. And I know that Ms. Myers has a different opinion. My opinion is if CDC does an audit at some point of this program, and this is not meeting the requirements of the program, I don't want to find out that the district is in any way liable for anything.
We are not liable, just part of a vendor organization.
Yeah, I
to
want to see
throw-
that form. I want to see the form that they submitted to CDC saying here are all the vendors we're using. Because there is a form that they have to submit.
We are part of a vendor submitted to DOC, authority, Dr. Core, and.
No, but the
Scott.
grant itself, there's a form that they have to submit saying to fulfill this grant.
So there's
here
a
are the
form
vendors
that
we're
New
using.
Orleans needs to submit to CDC.
Yeah,
As
for
the
this
PI, Claudia has to submit to CDC that says, these are all the subcontracts. They call them vendors, because
Right.
that's how New Orleans wants to set it up. But as a subcontract, we probably have not seen that.
Well, we need to see that because we're going to be invoicing. And my understanding of that, and I've done grant work before, if you're not listed as an approved vendor for that specific grant, you're not supposed to be paid. And I don't know how this came about, and I don't want to even get into the specific of who talked to who and how we thought this was the greatest idea, but I don't see the DVAC playing any role right now in this, and that's what we were told that we're getting the money for, is to offset the salary of the coordinator. So I want to see that form, if you could follow up, Dr. Falls, and get that from them, because they were supposed to submit it. And I was looking at the attachments that they gave us, but I don't see it in here.
Last page.
So my
Ms. Ma-
suggestion is that we table this, because I.
Ms. Myers, do you have any comments? Hello?
I have reviewed the agreement. I have not seen the final form of the agreement, so I can't confirm what y'all are looking at,
Yeah.
if it's the same as what I reviewed.
It's the same.
Okay.
It's not the agreement that I'm so much concerned about, is
The vendor
the
list.
vendor list, making sure that we are listed as one of the vendors for this grant, which is a requirement of the grant application once it's of the award, once it's granted.
So do you recommend?
I can't speak to that.
Application not include us, but the vendors, they have approving this year, every year different increase. So
That's not the vendor list I'm talking about. I'm talking specifically to the grant.
So you want to see the list that was sent to CDC
For this specific, because it's.
for year two?
Yeah, if you.
She wants to
Yeah,
see the
yeah.
CDC year two
We can
vendor
get it.
list.
We just
Yeah.
want to confirm, I just want to confirm. we're
I
on
will
it.
say that we are certainly set up as a vendor
Yeah.
with New Orleans
Yeah.
to receive funding.
Yeah, but if you read the grant itself, it says here are the requirements. One of them is a list of who's going to be working on this grant.
Okay, so is,
To add in, for the grant part of how does it tie in, I think that on this page.
what page is it?
Seven of
It's
the-
22 of 44. And it says page 3. If you,
The second year, they eventually include us.
Yeah, it says like
Everybody
our
has
diverse
participation.
group of collaborators will compile a database of existing education and trainings, and then it lists different things across the Gulf Coast region. So I think they mean like, we are in the Gulf Coast and we're providing that with the education center and
We're
sharing
not part of the Gulf.
our.
Do you know the definition? This is the response to the grant. The Gulf Coast region, the Gulf
It's-
Coast region is defined as, for CDC, for this grant, as Louisiana, Texas, and Alabama.
But they have expanded it. In
It
year
changed.
one, University of Miami was included,
Okay.
as well
North Carolina.
as University of Florida, the Urban Entomology Laboratory. So they've expanded it into Mississippi as well as Florida. So
I didn't see Florida listed.
And
that's
then they
why.
said that this will provide a core curriculum that can be replicated at training facilities across the Gulf South states.
Okay.
Consider assessments, workshop recommendations. I think that's what Dr. Shi was saying,
So
like
that-
with our annual workshop, they can come and visit. And
So
then I
that's good.
believe
I
in the
just need
first
that
part,
just-
it's
just
the,
confirm that.
one of our people is gonna go over there
And present.
and look.
Yeah,
Where
they're
was
funding.
that?
Yeah, who's doing all the traveling? Who's gonna be doing it?
I think it's based on where the workshops
Most
are
of the
going to be.
webinar, most of the webinars
Yeah.
are
So
online.
I'm good.
There's-
I just confirm, just get that form, just confirm it, that we're
Yeah.
on it, that we're listed. That's all.
Okay, so we're going to table this until we see the vendor
I'll give you the
list?
name.
The report is the deadline next week. We have to give the report.
Okay,
I'm gonna send her the list form, because I sent it
Okay.
to Dr. Shu. I sent you the name of the
Yeah.
form. But I'll send it to you, Whitney, so that. you
Well,
know.
if the deadline for this is next week, then what do we wanna do?
We do the
No,
motion.
we
for
can,
payment.
we
Can
can
we go-
motion to approve,
okay.
Yeah.
but you need, well,
With, so
what do you think?
Just trust her, man. She'll give it to you.
No, she was gonna say, what's your suggestion, Whitney?
well, if it needs to be approved next week, then,
We
I mean,
can't
that's
re-
at the board's discretion. So, you know, the other commissioners can make a motion to accept, or we can you can make a motion that you want to deny, and then, you know, I don't know what the I don't know what the turnaround time is going to be to get that vendor. I mean, we certainly can reach out to CDC to confirm, you know, directly
got-
through
I
them
do have the copy when they said your name on it about the vendor name.
Not for the grant,
to
for the grant.
CDC.
Yeah.
For the
Okay.
grant?
Yeah.
Specific?
Not for beginning, for second year.
Oh, for a second.
Every year different.
So this is a cooperative agreement. This isn't a grant. This is every year they have to put in
Looking
for
for new-
funding requests, right? So it's not, they've been awarded for 5 years, but every year they have to resubmit and CDC renegotiates that contract. We certainly, I mean, the CDC also reached out to them to put us into this grant.
Okay.
And so we've had conversations with them at the SOVE meeting. Jeff Borchert, who is over this funding mechanism for CDC, and he was talking about our involvement with the grant. But that's, again, you know, could be considered hearsay, but we had conversations.
Can I suggest that we can move to approve, I'm gonna ask this question, Ms. Myers, can we set that, you know, and for staff to follow up and making sure that we have all the formal documentation in our files
Yeah.
that includes our name?
Miss-
Because,
Is that okay, Ms. Myers? Hello?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
But that is an important thing, that this is not a grant, it's a cooperative
Yeah.
agreement, so that does
yeah,
have
but it is a
different
grant,
parameters.
but it is a grant for
us.
for
them.
for our funding.
And,
Well, no, it's still a cooperative agreement.
But their agreement with CDC is a grant.
Yes.
No, it's a cooperative agreement. It is a cooperative agreement through CDC. The way that they're funding it is, I mean, the way that they're funding it is it's renegotiated every year.
But was it ever a grant?
No.
Because
No,
I
Rudy,
saw-
it was
I spoke
announced
about
as a
that.
cooperative agreement. It was the
Excuse
CDC
me.
Center's call for training and evaluation, which is, grant and cooperative agreement are almost synonymous. The thing with a grant is it's dedicated money for 5 years. The cooperative agreement is that you have to go and renegotiate every year.
Very good. All right, so do we have a motion?
Well, what happens if we don't get the letter then?
What letter?
We,
Then we have to say that, But it
No,
sounds like
we-
we've been on there.
That's my
It's
recommendation.
already been,
To prove this, then have a condition, our guide this year going to send it to CDC. I believe I have copy, and the AMCD list as one of the vendor, so we can approve, send it to everybody. That's the condition.
Or how about we'll approve, we can approve it, and then
Yeah, the
if we're
deadline.
not, then the first thing we need to do is get them to put us on the list.
Yes.
We are already a vendor with
Already
CDC.
vendor.
Whether or not we're a vendor,
with
For
Norm.
this.
I can't imagine that we would not be because they've had to resubmit with our vendor, with our information
Oh, yeah,
as a
a few times.
subcontract.
Okay, if they have to resubmit with us in there, then
Yeah.
I'm okay. You're 100% sure of that?
100% sure that when they submit
Otherwise,
for
they wouldn't
year
be able to
two, they
run it.
have to list all of their partners and how that money is
Well,
going to
that's
go.
exactly what I was
Yeah,
Okay.
asking, is that, because that was the list I was talking about, all the partners.
absolutely. There's no way that they could give money to us
Mhm.
unless we are listed.
As an approved vendor.
I'll take your word.
Do we have a motion?
I mean, do it.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll make a motion to, for the board to accept the cooperative endeavor agreement by and between the city of New Orleans and the Board of Commissioners for Anastasia Mosquito Control District of St. Johns County, St. Augustine, Florida. And this is for coordinated training and evaluation of professionals and pre-service students to achieve an integrated workforce to mitigate community vector-borne disease risks in the Gulf Coast region.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
Ms. Meyer.
Ms. Myers, the performance evaluation report?
Sure, you have in your agenda package,
Yes.
my letter to the chair, summarizing the results of the evaluations I received of Dr. Shu.
Yes.
It's my understanding the chair will read that into the record.
Okay, do I have to read the entire thing? I mean, I will.
I don't know what your custom is or not. I don't know if it's enough that it was in the agenda package. So I defer to the rest of the board as to their custom.
Okay. Consistent with AMCD policy, the district's Board of Commissioners directed me to collect and review their performance evaluations of the district's Executive Director, Dr. Shu. All 5 commissioners completed the performance evaluations for Dr. Shu during September 2024 in anticipation of receiving a report from me to the board on these evaluations at the October 2024 meeting. Consistent with the board's performance evaluation process policy, I received and reviewed the evaluations prepared by each of the 5 AMCD commissioners. The policy calls for preparation of a numeric grid of the scores awarded for the evaluations, together with a letter from me as the board's attorney summarizing the evaluations. This letter is intended to satisfy the requirements of the policy according to the policy to be read by the chair at the board meeting. Further, the policy provides that the reading of this letter by the chair is to be the only public comment concerning the evaluation. The numeric grid is attached to this letter. The average scores by categories are as follows. Category professional skills, job skills and knowledge, 95.8%. Initiative and judgment, 95.2. Quality and management of workload, 93. Interactive skills, interpersonal relationships, 93.4. Communications, 89.2. Public relations, 89.2. Administrative skills, coordination and adaptability, 94.6. Planning and organization, 94.4. Adheres to policies and procedures, 98.8. Orientation towards results, 96.6. Attendance and availability, 100%. Personal characteristics, 98.6. Supervisory skills, 93.4. Budget management, 95. Directs and implements training and safety program, 98.4. Taken together, based on the scoring of all 5 commissioners in 3 categories listed above, the overall average score for Dr. Shu was 94.7. Parts 3-5 of the evaluation form provides commissioners with the opportunity to provide comments and input on the following subjects related to the executive director's performance objectives for the coming year, accomplishments and contributions, major strengths, areas needing improvement, training and development for the coming year. The commissioner's comments on these topics have been provided to the executive director. The policy does not require any summary of those comments, so they will not be provided in this letter. The AMCD policy provides that based on the budget for pay increases, and if the numerical number is 90% or higher, a motion to authorize a pay increase or merit raise can be made. The individual reviews are available for the commissioners to review at their convenience. Very truly yours, Amy Myers, Esquire.
Yeah.
Public comment, Mr. Slavin?
Thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned, Ed Slavin, box 3084, edslavin.com. I'm concerned that Ms. Myers' letter here has a statement that says, the policy provides that the reading of this letter by the chair is to be the only public comment concerning the evaluation. If that's a policy, it's illegal under Florida Statute 286. And under Florida Statute 119, the evaluations should be a public record, the actual evaluations by the commissioners. So like my mama told me when I was a little boy, trust your mother but cut the cards. If that's a policy, I hope that y'all change it in the future, and thank you.
Yeah, that policy's not. I asked prior commissioners that were here earlier, and that is not a stated policy in the past, and nor the inclusion of the comments of each individual commissioner. And for myself, I won my comments on the record, because they were constructive comments, and they need to be on the record. It is transparency not only for the public, but for the employees of this district. So I want my comments in the record. I don't know about the rest of the commissioners, because frankly, it looks like only numbers were provided. But I want the comments included. I think it benefits all, even Dr. Shu, especially Dr. Shu, because I think everybody has strengths and weaknesses and opportunities for improvement, and nobody's going to improve unless everybody understands where everybody needs help.
Is there any other
But the
comments?
letter says it's our policy,
I don't
but
see
the
that in
form,
the-
I don't remember that.
That's what I'm saying. The other commissioners were here.
I mean, I know that the 90% that we can offer, but I don't know about
The other stuff, I've never read that, but I don't know where that
It's
came
on
from.
page 3-36 of the board book. I was
Well, if they
right.
did it, they never, because there were commissioners here before that said that had been used before, so.
I don't recall hearing this read aloud before, so I don't know.
I
Do we have a
honestly-
motion?
I don't know what motion we have to make.
I don't know either.
if we want to put it,
If we want to.
I mean, we can make two different motions, one to accept the report, and if we want to do
Revise it.
a merit raise or pay increase, and then another one, we could revise the commissioner's policy, but I don't think we can do both of
You
those
don't-
things.
You don't need to make a motion to accept the report. If
Okay.
you do want, based on the numbers given in that summary, if you want to make a motion for a pay increase or merit raise, you do need a motion for that. If you would like to make a motion to revise the policy, you certainly can direct staff to bring you something done.
Right. Okay.
But the reviews are public record, so I don't understand why they were not included.
I don't know.
So,
They were not intentionally withheld. I thought I was following the custom, and Wayne's example. So I apologize if,
I don't
I
recall.
excluded something you were looking for.
Yeah. I don't
Gina, do
honestly.
you remember?
I mean, we're supposed to be discussing,
I can't remember
um,
if we had the comments not on or not, maybe we could
We've
make a
never
motion.
published.
I
those
mean, they've
before.
always been available, and for anyone that wants to see them, to me, that doesn't matter. What does matter is that this is an evaluation, and it was a good evaluation, so I would like to do a raise. I think that, whenever you have a good evaluation, you have a wonderful employee, I do believe in compensating that individual. So I'd like to,
Do you want to make a motion?
well, this is discussion, so
Yeah, we need to come
what
up with a
percentage
number.
and that kind of thing. So what are all of you thinking as far as percentage? And are you in favor of a raise before we start with the motion?
I'm the only outlier in this entire evaluation process. I'm the only outlier, and my number is below the 90, so I'm not going to weigh in on that.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough. Does someone want
Mrs.
to make a motion?
I wonder
Trish?
if you were evaluating the same employee.
Ma'am? I don't.
I don't
ma'am,
remember what our
I
number
respectfully withhold that comment because I didn't attack you either. so.
All right. So we do have the page, I mean, I can read it to you guys, or if someone else wants to read it, I don't know.
Oh, please, go ahead. I've done enough.
Okay, the director's performance evaluation process policy and form. The chair directs staff to provide copies of the evaluation form to each board member in the August board book. In every other even years, each board member completes the evaluation and discusses concerns. I'm kind of going to skip through this. The reading of this letter written by the attorney, read by the chair, will be only public comment. So I think that's what she's,
Right.
I make it.
I mean, it doesn't say the only public comment, but it does say will be or, yeah, it does. It says it will be the only public comment. Based on the budget for pay increases, if the number is higher than 90, a raise could be made. And they should also receive COLA and coincide with the budget. And then the evaluations. I mean, it doesn't really, other than the only public comment, so we could update that. And we could also ask in our motion to make it public. But it doesn't, does anyone want to see
No,
it?
you read it.
It doesn't really say.
May I say something, Chair?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Give me a very good point here. I think they deserve any raise. I can cost me already. So thank you, appreciate. And also individually meeting me already. Someone has not meeting me, giving me some kind of direction, improvement. I cannot see me back. I'm scientist, I always like any criticism, and that can get improvement. Thank you, appreciate.
Thank you, Dr.
And by the
Shu.
way, I gave Dr. Shu a copy of his evaluation at the same time and asked him if he wanted to meet with me. So I really don't appreciate you saying that I did not know who I was evaluating. Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Shu.
Thank you, appreciate.
Okay. Okay, so then I guess I'm going to go ahead and make a motion then. Is there any more discussion about merit raise and all that?
I don't think we have to, do we have to make a motion on this? We don't have to.
I think
Why
we
don't
should
make a motion?
consider a merit
Stephen wants to
raise
make a
and
motion.
a cost of living
Well,
and a
he's-
merit raise.
Well, he said he didn't think he needed a merit raise, that his cost of living was sufficient.
Um,
Well,
I mean,
I believe he
personally, I
deserves
think he's saying that because it's not sounding too favorable.
Okay, no, can I ask you a
So-
question? Can I, before you make the motion, can I ask a question?
Okay.
Have our employees all received merit raises? No.
No.
No. Thank you. That was what I was looking for.
Okay.
The rest of the employees haven't gotten merit raises. They've gotten their COLA, but not merit.
But
I don't think that's
isn't
part of
the,
the paper.
I'm sorry, isn't that at a different time? I'm sorry, when,
what were their evaluations? Were they similar?
Everybody receives a COLA. There are generally no merit raises.
Pardon me?
There are generally.
Everybody receives COLA in January.
No,
No,
No?
in October.
Yeah.
there are
New
generally,
Year.
her statement
Pardon,
was.
pardon me?
On
Can you
Oc-
repeat that?
The board has been gracious to give our staff COLAs every year, and those take place on October 1 when our new fiscal year starts.
Okay.
They have a merit
That's
raise.
all they get. They
After
don't get
you
a
see
raise.
the red line, that's merit raise.
If you remember our pay plan, which I always complain about because it doesn't make any sense, the pay plan does not have annual merit raises or reviews on it. And that's, in my opinion, one of our biggest issues
That's an
we have
issue.
as a district.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I would consider this separate, but.
Yeah, but I know, but I think we need to be consistent. These employees support Dr. Shu. Dr. Shu, this is not being personal, please, you know that, I've talked to
Yeah.
you personally. I think if currently our employees are not eligible for merit increases, then it's really hypocritical of us to be passing on a merit increase, especially when you just said you don't want a merit increase, you just got your COLA.
He said he wasn't looking for one.
He wasn't looking for one.
I'm happy about
But
that.
that's what a leader does, if his.
But
people
merit
are not
raise, we
getting
do
it-
have a merit raise, people, several people.
Well, it doesn't
Employees
have
do
to be a
receive merit
percentage.
raises.
We could just
No,
give
they
a
don't.
one-time lump sum.
Do they get
Total.
raises based on performance at all?
Yeah, you do.
Apparently not.
What is their raise based on?
What was the comment?
If it's not based on performance? I know they get cost of living, but don't they get any kind of performance increase?
She's telling you no.
We have, yeah, you have read the budget that serve the supervisor recommendation. They have the red color in the budget book.
Yeah.
October 1st.
So they do get
Not a month,
raises.
yeah, some,
It's
some.
not the
Next year, so
annual
that's okay.
raise that everyone's accustomed to, where you get 50 cents more an hour, or what, 1%.
It's
more,
not
whatever.
something, it's not
a
something that's
completely
written,
different
it's
thing.
Very,
not
very,
policy,
very
but they
few,
do get
yeah.
them.
Right,
It's not policy, but they do get them.
okay.
Yeah, they have some get, yeah. That's the reason the budget name, the
But I
red
just-
color.
But let's be clear here. They do get them, but it's not a standard process. So
Right.
Correct.
it's
not an
these folks are
evaluation.
doing a job, and they may not be getting any merit increases, period. Because you yourself have been on this board since when? And you just found out that it is not a standard
No,
merit process for the employees. So that's what I'm saying, the fact that we on the board didn't even know that they weren't getting regular merit increases as part of
they get
performance review.
performance increases,
Well, I
but it's
did
not
try to
defined
change
in
the pay
policy.
plan last
No,
year,
they
the board denied it.
Yeah, they denied, board.
It's discretionary.
Which is,
All right, well,
Okay,
let's
but
focus
let's
on
move
Dr.
on.
Shu, that's what's on.
Just
There's
move
no-
on.
yeah.
There's
All right.
recommendation, just move on.
yeah, no.
Yes. Okay. All right, so
Just move on.
we're moving on. We're moving to the next item on the agenda, and that would be, no, there's no motion.
Well, not so much.
No motion.
No, there's no open motion. Okay. Discussion, Dr. Shu, the
Okay.
discussion and approval of the updated purchase policy.
Yeah, this is based on June 5th, the group meeting, our lawyer and the former lawyer, also the auditor, Commissioner Glisa joined, and Dr. Cole, Assistant Director, and Scott, CFO. So we have some kind of study, found some kind of problem with the DVEC, the purchase something that's not clear. Then ask Windflower, give update. After I read that, he did a good job. It's just more clear. Just the update that I believe he and Mr. Mayor is back and forth because I think I recommend to accept the approval that update the policy, a little bit more detail, especially over some kind of certain project, not accumulated together and divided by purpose. So there's mostly in the page that,
The red stuff.
yeah, red stuff, that's acceptable, yeah.
You want me to make a-
Yeah, just need to make a motion,
I
accept it.
read the sections that Wayne included in red, and it is in the spirit of what we discussed.
Right.
So I'm comfortable with it. It prevents from, what I call it, cutting invoices into smaller amounts and stuff like that. So I'm good with what Wayne developed.
I think it addressed what we were worried
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
Yes.
it addresses that, so it updates the policy. And it's pretty clear what needs to come to the board.
Right.
Just to be clear for the public, this policy is for the education center only or all around?
It's
All.
purchasing,
The
all
purchasing
purchasing policy.
Okay. All right. Well, I just want to make sure, because the first 3 pages are all about the education
Well,
center, so I just
this
want
is what
the
led to
public to
this.
be clear
It was
on what we're
led to
doing.
the
Right.
updating of policy.
So
can
we
I
need
make
a
a motion?
motion to approve
Oh,
the change.
public comment.
Mr.
I
Slavin.
really, thank you for doing this. I appreciate Mr. Flowers' work, and I would be delighted if he would apply for the job of the district attorney now that he's in private practice. He did a fine job for us, and we hired him through an open process that was advertised in the Florida Bar Journal, which is the standard of care. I totally agree with each of the 3 proposed amendments that Mr. Flowers came up with. And just a little history, I know some of y'all know this, or maybe most of y'all know it for the staff and anybody watching. Bless you. Harkening back to 2006 and 2007, the prior board purchased a no-bid $1.8 million Bell Long Ranger jet helicopter, which was illegal. And the attorneys at the time, Jeffrey Dobson, would never answer the question, is it legal? The next attorneys wouldn't answer the question. But under Section 178 of the Restatement of Contract Second, contract violation of public policy, it was illegal. So the board changed their mind and voted 5-0, and we got a full refund, total full refund of our 10% deposit. But it was a $1.8 million no-bid contract with a multinational corporation called Textron and their Bell Helicopter subsidiary. So it's real important that we enforce those rules. And my mom, God rest her soul, was in purchasing for years with with Camden County College in Blackwood, New Jersey, and also with F.W. Woolworth and their Woolworth headquarters in the Middle Atlantic states. So I called her up and I said, Mom, would you buy a helicopter with no competitive bidding? Absolutely not, son. And that's good advice then, and it's good advice now. And those 3 amendments that Mr. Flowers proposed, I totally agree with. I also reached out a few months ago to Commissioner Henry Dean from the St. Johns County Board of County Commissioners, who in 1984 hired Mr. Flowers as the counsel to the St. Johns River Water Management District. And I asked Commissioner Dean, could you please talk to Mr. Flowers and see if he would apply for that job if they re-advertise it? Because he's no longer with Lewis, Longman, and Walker, and now he's got his own letterhead, and he did a fine job for us. So I hope he applies for the upcoming vacancy, and I thank you.
Thank you. All right.
So I'll make a motion
To approve.
motion to approve the amendments to the AMCD purchasing policy.
Second.
We have a second. Do we have any more conversation on these? All right. All in favor? All right. Motion passed unanimously. Okay, Dr. Shu, the
Thank you.
organization chart.
Okay. Yeah, that's the same as last year, October, Dr. Course promoted to assistant director, so that her charge, her department science divided to 2, surveillance and ICT, 1 department, education and research, 1 department. So the new organization charter was presented to board in April. That's the process, so that we promoted the molecular biologist, Dr. Steve Pepper, for hired for the manager, for the supervisor, the surveillance ICT, and education and research hired the medical entomologist, Dr. Joe DeCan, and they started April 29. So the assistant director duty is the assistant to director to implement the program, emphasis on surveillance, ICT, education, applied research. So they are acting director duty when director absent as a job description, and we talking in order to confusing and miscommunication and the responsibility. And I was very clear in the organization charter for administration. I'm in charge of administration because before we have an assistant director many years ago. So they always come in surprise. I have no any idea, and the former assistant director blocked many things. So they always come to me, hey, something happened, what's happened? So then this new organization charter the full department manager directly report to me about the administration, personnel and budget. I need to know what's going on, safety, this issue. So Dr. Corrs is in charge of all the surveillance and manage education and research, and aviation and the ground. That's mostly deal with everyday deal issue and accident medicine. I wanted to know as early as possible, better than later and something. So far, I think that they perform very good. So I'm very happy about this. But still have a short of lack of communication, real communication. Sometimes maybe some misunderstood and confusing, especially department head, what I should report to who. Some is an oxygen channel, and he or she doesn't report to me, doesn't let me know anything. When I knew anything the last minutes, it's a surprise issue. So just need more training for education and communication in the future, and that's basically. But so far, I'm very happy about that. I know the daily business always agree, disagree, and argue. That's nature. If you don't argue, you don't agree, you don't speak out, nobody knew what you want. So it's very, very good. It's not, doesn't any kind of a person there doesn't like each other, no. It's different because mostly we deal with the science. Every day create each other, then get a new idea, learn each other, everything. That's my basic explain for that. Thank you, yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Shu.
I just making sure every day what's mostly wrong, the business. No matter what you argue, anything. If no argue, doesn't mean that. We have to argue means we care each other, we pay attention.
Trish, yes.
Okay, before I say this, I just want to say that I didn't know he'd be in the audience, so I don't mean to embarrass anyone or put anyone on the spot. But there is a big problem with this chart because it says that we have a pilot, boat, and drone person, but when we look on our budget, that person who does that is Morgan, and Morgan has worked his derriere off to continue to flourish here. But he is listed as a mosquito technician and being paid as a mosquito technician. And I think he, at the minimum, deserves something around 60 or more. Yes.
Where is he?
I think
I see.
I would like the board to approve maybe Dr. Qualls and Dr. Shu to write a new job description for this position. And I would like to see some better pay. And then I think that you all could figure that number out better than I can. But what that man does is way more than $25 an hour. And I can't believe he still works for us. And we should be very lucky that he does, that he's been here all these years. He has continued. He went from technician, and then he went up, and then he went up, and now he went on his own to get his pilot's license, and he's working on getting his helicopter license. We have a real opportunity to have somebody that's going to be here for the long run, that's going to, hopefully retire from here, and especially in something like aviation where there is a insane amount of shortage for pilots. So I would like the board to approve the motion to move Morgan officially into this pilot boat drone position that is on here and be paid what that job requires.
I'm going to second that.
Okay.
And I want to
then
comment, but I actually have a comment.
Go ahead.
Because I think I would like to also make, after we do this motion, I want all our jobs benchmarked, all our job descriptions. I want the job descriptions updated.
If I could jump in real quick, that's part of the HR stuff that's coming.
Yeah, but
Yes.
because I think, I don't know when the last evaluations was on these jobs, and I'm seeing a lot of, when I looked at the salary lists, in some positions that had this different, very different titles, had the same, they may be the same work, but I have no clue what folks are doing, and they had the same pay, fairly low, by the way. So we need a reevaluation of everybody's job description and making sure that we are in the right pay grades here, because I don't feel comfortable that our employees are being compensated properly.
And we also need to back pay them to when they started that position.
Yeah, so.
Which we
Did we
had
get-
that last month with a couple people, so
Again, I didn't
that's
know
all
that-
fixed.
Yeah, I don't know, I didn't know that, is it, sorry, Dr. Pepper, but I'm gonna put you, Dr. Pepper and Dina been fixed? Is that back pay?
Fixed already.
Been fixed?
That's been taken care of, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Morgan, do you have
The
anything
Morgan,
that
the
you want to
job,
add?
job
Since I called you out, sorry.
We called you here just to embarrass you.
Just to,
Wait, so first you need to vote on the motion that
Yeah.
was made first.
yeah, I seconded.
You seconded it.
Okay.
So,
Does anyone else have comments?
oh, wait, yeah,
We have
public
public
comment,
comment.
though. Yeah, wait, you have public comment.
Oh, well, okay.
Public
Here we go.
comment.
Ed Slavin, box 384, edslavin.com. I agree with the motion, and I'd like to see the org chart updated to reflect the right of all employees to raise concerns under the case of NLRB versus Universal Camera and elsewhere, to make it really clear, even in the org chart, that there needs to be someone who's in charge of receiving employee concerns and processing them and serving as an ombudsman or advocate for the employees to make sure they're treated fairly. NLRB, it's a Supreme Court case, NLRB versus Scribner, and it says that the channels of communication have to be open, because we're dealing with helicopters, we're dealing with pesticides, and we're dealing with employee rights, and we need to make sure we're treating everybody right. Thank you.
So, can I just point out something on the org chart?
Sure.
Right now, the way it reads, I heard that you're in charge of surveillance over, surveillance SIT manager and the education and research manager report to you, correct? But according to this chart, it looks like everybody's reporting to you.
Yeah.
So, because it looks like ground operations, aviation manager, and the
Maybe it
administrator.
needs to be a color-coded chart.
Or some, like.
Yeah, like aviation
Yeah,
should
us-
report straight to the director.
Well, I think we're,
No, I'm
So
just,
it's okay, we are working,
address a lot of this, though.
I think it's fine.
But-
It's more
just,
communication.
Well, more of that's coming in the next item.
Yeah.
That's what I
Okay.
was
But-
gonna just saying.
But back, we still need to
take the
vote.
vote. Okay,
on-
so
So
And then we can address
the
your-
motion is that we
I second.
place Morgan as the pilot boat drone.
Order will be removed to surveillance section, so order will change. Morgan has a fixed wing license already, had just you may report. He has a short 24-hour for helicopter training, so the then chief pilot will be back training him certificate. Also, we're looking for other option, so that his 24 hours, at least from tomorrow, started training for different helicopter some regulation. He started, so tomorrow, started training. So they will pay $60,000 for the registration for building. Everything in the areas, we have lots of money for super training, himself. Remain after training, at least serve 1 year, instead of 1 year.
And just to be clear, this doesn't mean Morgan's the only person, but Morgan is the biggest
Outlier.
one that is missing. And so we need to fix that.
So Morgan, are you flying the helicopter now?
No, he doesn't have a voice.
You're
You have
fixed-
rotary,
you're
you don't have
working on
rotary,
fixed
it's
wings,
fixed right now. You're fixed.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we, last,
And we thank you for everything you've done, and thank you for staying here all this time, even though you weren't paid correctly. Yeah, that'll be
yeah,
fixed.
last
We need
meeting,
to take the vote. She's
Oh,
still looking at
I know,
us.
I'm like, please, Paul, I
Can
can't
you let us
remember.
take the vote? She's looking at us.
all the approval RFP for the HR started. So we try to have some kind of salary started project, not like
Yeah.
decon anymore. We just hire them, pay them. Like India we just did last year, and our job description review, we have done, not done for 8 years already. After review, they gave us salary recompensation, different rate, different step. Currently, it's not practical. Gave us got lots of trouble every 3 years. Increase, that means they get a promotion, didn't get a step increase. So it's very confusing, the policy. We have definitely have some kind of specific specialists doing the work that gave recommendation for discussion group. Too many break, too many, the step is okay every 3 years. So, but it's 30 years block there. Some worker has 36 years already. We need a block there. We have to look at what's happening there.
All right, so the motion is
the motion is to move Morgan into the role that he's currently doing on paper, that is,
What's the title?
Pilot boat drone,
pilot boat drone.
okay?
Maybe we could come up with a better name, but for right now, we're
We
just
all know what
dealing with
that
that.
is, it's okay.
And the motion is for Dr. Shu, Dr. Qualls, the aerial team to come up with a great job description for that, and then to bump his pay up to what it should be with comparable rates. And Dana had some very good rates that he knows, and he's an expert in that field, so I think we should heed his you all could talk with him about that, and to back pay him for the time.
Right, okay.
Which is how long? Give it, a year?
All right,
I'll second.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Come up there?
why not?
I've been waiting.
You have to state your name and.
State your name and where you live.
Brandon Weir. And I am a taxpayer of St. Johns County.
All right.
So my only thing is I just want to speak on Morgan's behalf. Excellent employee. I've been doing aviation for 22 years. And I've never seen somebody that comes into the business and does it like he does. He picks up on everything that we do. He helps out in every area that I have on that airplane. He's, in my opinion, irreplaceable.
Agreed.
And kudos for you for doing that.
Thank you so
And
much.
I
And you
will-
do a great job.
And I will comment that Morgan has served in many different roles in many different departments. And I absolutely hated losing him when he went from the science department to aviation, because he's somebody that you can have him do whatever, whenever, and he's available. So absolutely wonderful employee.
Remember all this at Christmas, Morgan.
All right. Is there any other comments? No? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay. Very good.
Can
All
I
right.
address one last thing?
No.
Because yes, it's.
While you're doing
Dr.
that, I'm
Pepper.
gonna move over here, because my
Okay.
neck's gonna
Your
break if I
presentation.
stare at you for 5 minutes.
I just want to make sure that the situation with Dr. Pepper got rectified, because that was a very awkward
You
event where Dr. Pepper rightly filed a grievance, as he should have, and nobody should be prevented from sending something to the board. And then on the very heels of that grievance, there's an announcement made that you now report to me effective October 1st. So I want to know where we are with that in terms of, is Dr. Pepper still reporting to you, as we just heard, or?
Yeah, so from the administrative side, he's reporting to Dr. Shu, but CCing me on it. So, I mean, it's not in a vacuum, it's not in isolation. And from the science management side of surveillance, education, research, we have a great collaborative communication where both Dr. Pepper and Dr. DeClaro, we sit down and discuss what needs to be done.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you satisfied with where we are now?
Come
Sorry.
party.
And please, this is a friendly audience. We're here to support our staff, so I want you to be, if there's any dissent, I want you to share it, because I want to make sure
Steve
everything.
Pepper.
I just want to make sure everything's clarified.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still learning the new dynamic of what I am supposed to report to Dr. Shu versus what I'm supposed to report to Dr. Qualls, but over time, I'm sure I'll get it figured out. I know there've been a few times I've asked Dr. Qualls a question, she's like, oh, that's more administrative, and so then
And why did we break it up that way?
As Dr. Shu pointed out, the communication could be better, and so he wanted to have more direct communication when it came to the administrative side of things. So
So
What's the deal?
clarify for me. So administratively, you have no responsibilities? And you're the assistant director?
I wouldn't say I have no responsibilities when it comes to administrative. Certainly, Dr. Pepper and I will bounce things around when it comes to like hiring or requesting additional interns or seasonals, but then that question will go directly to Dr. Shu. So Dr. Pepper and I will collaborate on where we see gaps and that we need to fill, but that's ultimately Dr. Shu's decision when it comes to the hiring. So I still have administrative responsibilities, but when it comes to salaries, hiring, things of that nature, that's where Dr. Shu wanted to be looped in a little bit
It's
more.
interesting for me, just coming from the public, the private sector, that's an interesting dynamic, but
Just from my point of view, not to be argumentative, but I didn't feel like we had a communication issue. Like I feel like you said, we worked really well together. Well, we still do. And so that's what caught me off guard was now all of a sudden there was after I filed my grievance, I didn't feel like there was a communication issue. It was just,
And maybe it was
I
just a
don't know.
communication
I
issue
was-
between me and Dr. Shu, so I will take that.
well, yeah. And this is something where, after we let Trish present the HR thing, that we need to clarify at some point, because this is an odd dynamic that it's unfamiliar
I
territory.
will say that when Dr. Pepper and Dr. Claro and I discussed this, that Dr. DeClaro said that this was very similar to like the military structure.
Yeah, but we're not in the military.
No, we're not, but he said it is similar to a military structure where, you have separate commands. So, I think we're adapting and Dr. DeClaro is helping us with that. But I do appreciate that we do have good communication, but, sometimes we're busy, things fall through, so.
I just don't want any retaliation or anybody feeling like they're being retaliated against because they brought up a legitimate issue to the board. That should never happen.
No gag orders.
Commissioner Becker, you're on.
Okay, sorry, I had to come up here because my neck's injured, so I can't, I have like 2 pages to read, so please bear with me. All right, so Human Resources Generalist is new business number 4. Commissioners, we have an urgent matter that requires our attention and swift action, as you can tell from our previous conversation. Our aerial program manager and chief pilot has resigned. Luckily, thanks to Dr. Shu, has agreed to stay on as a part-time pilot when needed. When I was asked to conduct his exit interview by him, I was troubled to hear that almost every issue brought up could have quickly and easily been resolved by an HR generalist. Of course, there were other issues, but that's for another time. I mention this because the board approved having staff make an RFP to hire a HR company that can analyze our data and guide us in improving our district regarding HR issues. So thank you for doing that. The RFP is drafted, it is out, and it's going to come back to the board in December. Unfortunately, we have had some serious issues occur in the last few months that we just spoke on with multiple employees, which has led me to the professional decision that it is imperative that we allow staff to create a job posting to hire a human resources generalist at once. Without one, we are leaving ourselves open to potential legal issues, compliance and legal risks, ineffective recruitment and onboarding, lack of employee development, employee relations and well-being, and an absence of conflict resolution, which I think you can kind of hear still happening. Commissioners, you should have a job description in front of you that I wrote. I could read it to you if you want, or if you want to just look over it since I'm already blabbing. Yeah, you don't. There's also a skills and competencies page that's kind of more for staff to help them in drafting and going over it. Over the past 6 years, I've repeatedly seen minor issues balloon until they popped, and I feel that it could be quickly resolved by having a qualified full-time HR person on staff, not on call. Instead, we have employees, staff, and commissioners remain unresolved, hurt, upset, let down, or simply they quit. Everyone at AMCD is a specialized worker, an expert, if you will, in the field, and just like us, we need an HR person who can do the same. We are asking way too much of our management teams by adding on HR topics that they might not be thoroughly familiar with on top of their already assigned duties. At AMCD, we all have a psychological contract to do what's best for the district and for residents, and our employees expect to be treated as such. As commissioners, we want to offer everyone a way to express their opinions on work-related issues without fear of retaliation or embarrassment, as we all do. I think that the most significant piece of the AMCD puzzle we are missing is hiring an HR generalist that will elevate our district and allow employees to focus on their tasks without worry. Through my research, I found that the average pay for someone of this caliber in Florida governmental agencies, and then I included public agencies in North Florida, ranges from $55,000 to $70,000 annually. And to be clear, we're not seeking an HR specialist, which is when you hear like, that's HR, that's a very specific thing that they do. We need a generalist that covers all ranges of items. We are a high-impact learning organization, meaning that we need to ensure external competitiveness by proactively comparing pay rates for all of our employees for the same jobs at other agencies like Morgan. The HR company that we hire in December is going to help us update our pay plan, including bringing in yearly raises and feedback, fine-tuning policies, creating advancement opportunities. However, we can have that, but we need someone that is centralized, that's here, that can implement those changes. We cannot ask our current staff or managers, or we need somebody, that's what they do, and that's what we need. I believe that hiring an HR generalist is an urgent matter. It will resolve many issues facing the district, allow our staff to have a centralized person who can communicate with employees on all levels, make sound judgments, especially in highly sensitive employee matters, and be a person that the board and employees can trust to make the right call in every single situation. This will also ensure that the board that our staff is paid adequately and competitively, and that as a district, we are always up to date with any local, state, and federal HR policy changes, and have someone that can help guide management on any issues. They will take on vital issues relating to HR and remain confidential when needed while resolving issues. The person can ensure that we meet the requirements of any federal, state, university, or armed forces grants and initiatives, kind of what we were talking about before. That person would be able to give us exactly what we were asking for. They will implement an HRIS system to keep our data safe and easily accessible, and find and conduct developmental training for staff in leadership, customer service, and the like, because we focus on the mosquitoes, but there's a lot more that goes to the jobs than just that. Sorry, I lost my place. Eventually, we will need to update the budget and policies, renew the organizational charts, and introduce the person to the employees and the board. But this is all going to take time, and it will relieve a lot of pressure on our management teams, the employees, the lawyer, the board, and allow everyone to focus on their program tasks. It will also save the district money overall because it is way more expensive to constantly train new people because of turnover instead of just having somebody readily available to handle something that would take 2 minutes. In conclusion, I'm asking the board for 3 either separate or together items to approve. I'm asking commissioners to approve the posting of the job description that I shared with you, and then adding in with any updates or things taken out that staff, that you all decide needs to be removed. And to approve that and with a 1 month date. We don't want this job to be posted for 6 months waiting for, we want to be very active in doing that. Secondly, since this is not in our current budget, I'm also asking the board to approve having our CFO move the appropriate funds needed for the annual salary and benefits this position requires after hiring and with the permission from Dr. Shu. The salary range is $55,000 to $70,000, depending on experience and qualifications. I suggest that we remove it from our reserves and place it into the operating funds. And then lastly, I would add that we approve an update to the organizational chart for now and have a separate column where the HR representative reports directly to Dr. Shu and the board, and then works horizontally with the assistant director and management. And that way, that person can also talk to the other managers and because like with Dr. Pepper, you know, it's like someone wasn't getting information and that could alleviate lots of things like that. All right, commissioners, I know this is a lot of information. And so, as you know, I like to be completely transparent with you and the public. So just to be completely clear, I know of no friends or family who work in HR. I do not have any professional or personal reasons or things to gain from asking for this. Like everyone, I'm simply trying to do what's best for our district now and into the future, especially as we are growing. I believe that without a HR generalist, we leave our district open to litigation, toxic workplace behaviors, favoritism, and other critical issues. I think the board, staff, and taxpayers will be delighted to see how positively the hiring of this position will affect the district and allow us to quickly handle information requests, benefits, items, pay, and etc. Previously, while it may have seemed cost-effective to manage people without an in-house HR professional, because we have under 50 employees, so we're not required to have one, the risks associated with this decision can have long-term negative consequences for the district. So commissioners, I appreciate your time and patience with all this. And do you have any questions?
I have one. It's not a question, it's actually, because I'm totally supportive of where you're going here. But the first ask, the posting of the position, I think I would add approving the position to be added, because posting and then posting it, because we would have to approve the position. Period.
Yeah, approve
The
to
position.
have them posted.
HR,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So-
And by the way, kudos for doing the work, because
Thank you.
I've been in that same mindset since this whole stuff started, and I think our employees need to feel like they are also being taken care of. So, good job doing this, and I appreciate it.
Thanks.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I've been talking about for years, but I actually just took this in my classes for the last 2 semesters. I got 100% in that class. I feel very confident in what I'm saying now.
How did I know? I said,
So-
this has
So this
flags
is
on
your
college
grade.
written all over.
Oh, no, the class is over. I already got
Very
100.
timely.
This is extra credit for me. No, This is
Congratulations.
extra credit for the employees.
Right.
Good
And
job,
everyone.
Trish.
Thank you, good job.
Yeah, also credit our employee, include the temporary intern. It's close to 50, yeah, you should have one.
Yes.
And I also
If
put,
only 30, under 30, no, then
Yeah,
So,
because I am out of school, here's my references to the salaried things if you want to look at them.
so,
I-
I can
Dr.
make,
Paul,
oh,
I would just suggest, thank you so much for this, but maybe removing the under 35 employees. As Dr. Shu just mentioned, sometimes we escalate seasonally with our
Yeah, we-
seasonal
no, no, I think
employees.
he was just
Yeah.
referring to the 35 was
I was just, like, to
36,
say we're a
4
small organization, maybe some people, maybe there's a HR generalist that works at Coca-Cola and wants to come to a smaller place, so they know we're not a
Right, but it says,
400 person.
it
so-
says here, the successful candidate will manage all aspects of human resources for the under 35 employee organization. My only suggestion would be maybe to just say all aspects of human resources for the small government agency.
yeah, because it could be.
Something like that.
So we don't
And that
limit
gives us
ourselves.
room to grow or
Right.
if needed.
yeah, we work multi-duty, they like occur the front desk and material assistant sometimes, visit doctors and vacation, you have somebody kind of step
I think
up.
we'll
How about we
have
make
more
the-
than enough work
so-
for this
Yes,
person to do.
correct.
So,
And just so I could add real quick too, because I probably skipped over it while I was reading, but why I'm saying this is an emergency now is because it's gonna take maybe a month at least to put it out and find someone, and then we have to train them, and then they have to get familiar with everything. Then we're in December, we're gonna bring in the PR team. Those people are gonna go over all the items that we have issues with, but the person that we hire needs to be able to work with that team. So that's why I think it's an emergency that we do it.
It's
now.
urgent.
yep. So,
Probably need a.
my suggestion is, let's motion to approve the position, and if that's the only change you had to it, then we can approve the posting too, but if if you guys wanted more time to review.
I mean, if
We'll
you
put
want
it
more
in-
time to look
I
at
mean,
it,
it's
it's
really-
pretty standardized.
I'm
And
fine
my
with it.
professor, Dr. Parker, helped me. He looked over that and made sure everything looked good. He's an expert in policy, so.
We could just put it in the AMCD format for the job description. Everything's there, and then just make it like how our
Okay.
other ones look.
I just figured that would kind of help because then you guys don't have to spend time another month making the, and then bringing it back to us and then and then posting it. So.
So
Yep.
I will
Like, you
make
make
a
our
motion,
job easy.
so I will make a motion to approve
Creating.
the, what's it called? The
Job
HR
description.
general, the human resource generalist position and, direct staff to post the position for hire. Is that sufficient enough?
That's sufficient.
And
That sounds good to me, yeah.
Did you second?
Second,
She seconded.
do you want to add in the salary or do you want to do that separate?
Budget amendment.
Because we'll need to move the money over.
well, I don't think we
Well,
need to
hey,
put the
and we had a
salary in
So we
the,
need to
in
do
the
a budget?
posting.
And we had a windfall because we got 1.7 million gain and not a loss.
Yeah, so I figured we have the reserve, so.
We got
Yeah.
it, let's spend it.
So, do we do two motions, or
Just
the
one more
salaries in
thing,
one
and we
motion.
bring back for budget amendment,
okay,
We
so,
have
Yeah.
to do a budget amendment.
next budget amendment.
so the motion is to approve the HR generalist position, direct staff to post the job description as described here with the modification, and to direct our CFO to make a budget amendment to fund the position in the budget.
Good.
Is that?
Second.
And Commissioner Brandhurst seconded.
Okay, now you have a
Open
comment.
comment? Ed Slavin, Box 384. I support the motion. I wish it had been in the agenda packet, and in the future, we need to do that and make sure that things aren't just spontaneously raised without letting us know in
I think she
advance.
added it.
I didn't
it
see it.
added?
Added
I
it.
didn't see it. Anyway,
Oh.
okay, well, I forgive you. Ego tab salvo. In the words of the great economist E.F. Schumacher, small is beautiful. And I think it was a Supreme Court case involving the Dartmouth College case. The Congressman Webster said to the Supreme Court, it's about Dartmouth College. It's a small college, but there are those who love it. We appreciate what y'all are doing here. This is long overdue. But we need to make sure when we interview the folks that the interviews are public and that whatever we're going to require as to the job competencies are reviewed by learned counsel. We want to make sure that under Griggs versus Duke Power, it's a BFOQ, bona fide occupational qualification, whatever we're asking for, that we not indulge in credentialism, which happens oftentimes in hiring. We don't want to get bamboozled by somebody who's got a long resume but lacks compassion. We want to make sure that they're a good fit for this small district. And there are all kinds of sharks in the field, as you all know, all kinds of sharks in the field of HR. And I've seen them, you've seen them, and sometimes people in HR are part of invidious discrimination against members of minority groups. So let's not just hire the first person that comes along. And let's make sure that the hiring process complies with federal and state law. Let's not hire any more turkeys, all right? I mean, because there are a lot of turkeys in the HR field. They're out there. You've seen them, you've read about them. Let's get a really good person who's a really good fit. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second.
Just any
Need a
more
vote.
Any more comments? Any more discussion?
Need a vote.
I
Need a vote.
I'm in favor.
Can I vote from here?
You can vote from there. Yes, you can.
Unanimous.
Right, okay.
All right,
Okay.
unanimous.
Yeah.
And then the next, item number 5.
I'll stay up here because it's
Yes.
me again. And Dr. Shu was kind enough to print out this if you want to kind of find out more about it. But if we are going to have a excellent HR person join our team, they're going to need the proper software for it. So on top of hiring a generalist, we want to, I am saying that we should purchase a comprehensive HRIS, which is a human relations information system. This is, I'm kind of like equating it to Microsoft Office, except everything in it is HR related. And so that'll give the person that is working very quick access to different things, different files that they can sort out. These programs range anywhere from $50 to $200 a month annually, depending on what we really need. we're not gonna need a big software. I looked over about 10 different ones, and that's pretty much the range of them. And any of those softwares also come with guidance that you can call if, you know, if our HR person maybe doesn't know, that's included in those packages in every one that I read. The HRIS software recruitment, it provides recruitment and onboarding issues, payroll management, paperless records, applicant tracking, people analytics, time and attendance, benefits management, mobile application, employee self-service, and excellent reporting capabilities. The HRIS software focuses on the tactical and logistical issues at every basic level. It stores information related to human resources departments, such as employee details, salaries and benefits, organizational charts, and policies and procedures. It centralizes all of this in one location, whether it's on the cloud or on the premise. And since we are a GLP, we might need to have paper of everything too, but that can help us. According to the Society of Human Resource Management, all HRIS software helps make data-driven decisions, enhances employee experiences, increases productivity and automation, ensures fewer errors and a speedier process, improves compliance, and can accommodate business growth. So in conclusion for this, I'm asking the board to give our eventual HR generalist a small budget to get started, because we're gonna hire someone and then what can they do if they have $0?
Right.
So we can fine tune a proper number later on, once we get everything kind of organized with the HR company that's gonna come in December. But that will take time. So working along with the CFO, which is our current HR rep, and we thank him very much for everything he's done, but he's got enough stuff to do. Mr. Hanna, I would suggest that we approve the moving of, we'll just start out with $5,000, just move it over so that person can start doing stuff, from the reserves to a new HR operations folder if we want to, so that we can get the software tools needed to start a new and exciting HR program. When needed, instead of having to wait and come to the board again, because it always takes a month, and so then we're months behind and the person can't get to work. Although I recommend that we have the staff probably wait until the HR company gets here, but the money's there. That's kind of what I'm more interested in, is because then they're not gonna, we hire the person, the HR company comes, they talk with everyone involved and say, we think this program would work best for you all. That person may be familiar with that program, and then they can just buy it then, instead of having to wait another month to come in front of the board and ask for the $50 a month or whatever it ends up being, something like that. And yeah.
So are you looking to budget the money for the software and then wait till we have the person hired and let them decide, or see if they're familiar with
I mean,
the
I
current
wouldn't just say
system?
that one person decide, but,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah.
Can I make a suggestion that, because we have money in the reserves, so there is no urgency to do it now, but I do want to have Scott, because I know we have a payroll system today, and there's always conversion costs when you go from one system to another that speaks to itself. They have to
Well, the
talk.
payroll could be separate.
Yeah, no, actually, I like that payroll is, because it'll take a lot of work off him, but
duplicates
Um,
stuff.
I've worked in the past on HR platforms, and I just want to make sure that the budget is right, and we already have to manage it. There's no reason for us to be able not to move money out of reserves.
Well,
to fund this.
and that's what I'm saying, is if
So
we
I don't
approve
think
it
we-
now,
Right.
when they need
Then you
it, they
can
can
be
move
ready.
it,
Is
because
what I'm
then they
saying.
don't have to, what if we have another hurricane, and then now we're 4 weeks out
Is that-
past, you know. the
Is that
date.
really an issue for the board?
Yeah, at this point, we
We-
really don't need to make that.
I will say
We need to.
that
What I'm saying is, the decision doesn't have to be made tonight,
We need to-
because we have another board meeting. They're gonna get the job posting done.
Yeah.
And I think at the next meeting, Scott will be here, and then we can get a better feel for what that number should ask him, like, Because 5,000 to me honestly sounds like really low.
Yeah.
The
Well, I
money's
know, that's what I'm
there.
saying, just something so
we do-
whoever gets hired can
I want to, yeah,
buy
I want
a
to have
name
a,
tag,
I want to have
whatever
a.
they
We
want.
do have a
Right.
software
I
budget line
want
item.
number.
So we can always pull from that too, right? The software.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be an issue. We will be able to move money around to accommodate that and then come to the board. So I don't think there will be no bottleneck. If we hire someone, there will be funds to purchase things. Like we have a line item for
So do we need
computers.
to approve just the purchase of an
So do we
HRIS
need approval, just
system?
a regular business?
Yeah.
We don't need to.
Business, if
It's
you're
not a
hiring
board
a
issue.
position, you
And-
have
and
to
we-
give them the tools.
Right.
It's not a board issue, I don't think.
Yeah.
But-
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you
But-
very much.
But,
Well, we can always increase and
Yeah.
move money into.
Okay, so
remember
I
Scott
withdraw my
said-
motion.
and remember Scott said we have a fat budget and we have to skinny it down, so
Yeah.
you may not have to skinny it down so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Becker, that was great.
We will.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll have.
Dr. Shu?
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
My report. First, since Hurricane Wilma and Hurricane Matthew, 2016, 2017, this year we have 2 hurricanes, but not many damage, but lots of rain, every day rain. So the mosquito population is out of range. I was surprised that the last month in the south, some CDC truck, we collected over 13,000 mosquito one night. It's a really very high number. Also, some kind of Western Nile positive chicken increase. So that's this year is very busy September, October. Really thank you, appreciate the ground operation group. And every night, or the morning, they're going to spread. And the daytime doing their all surveillance group. And they work very hard on Monday, Tuesday. So they work very hard to deal with the response with the hurricane and the flooding. So this is from today, seems a little bit beautiful weather, and it seems a little bit slowed down. Usually the October, like this time, we don't have a proper rain. That's the reason we season set up from May to end of October. Look at the situation, maybe that's the year we need a little bit extension for November, for seasonal employee. We look at what's happening. That's the first thing. Second thing about the HR issue. Our chief pilot and submit a resignation letter, and his last day will be next Thursday, October 31st. Yeah, he would like to keep part-time and training our junior pilot, and need him, based on need, he coming over and provide the service. So that I plan to 31st, we have all employee. Every year saying when end of season, we have some appreciation, give some certification for some kind of seasonal employee. Someone get a promotion from a full-time, we make announcement, and we have a pizza for lunch, and welcome assisted information to all board member, welcome to join, and there's a hard work, and we need appreciate for their service every year. So that currently, in my plan, just a discussion, just work on the update job description for we plan to promotion that from inside and looking for mechanical and rough and going to aviation manager and slash and mechanical. Increase the supervisor duty, and we here and there start an update.
And pay, right?
Yes, I start update for the job description. So we started next month, November 4th. He will be get official and promotion. This is the basic reason. Also, we publish for looking for full-time pilot. Because Morgan still has a 24-hour. Hopefully, he will get his pilot for end of this year. And become really helicopter pilot. Then we have job description for pilot. We need 2 pilots for the full-time. Then we have a report to aviation manager. So that's the basic that we plan. We have 4, surprise, we have a 4 application before we publish. So we have some senior, some kind of junior everywhere. So we look at it, I forward to the manager team, they look at what's happening, but we still need to wait for at least 2 weeks after publish. that can collection and pick up someone to interview. So we have based on about approved the full-time position and the contract position. Yeah, we have a 4 seasonal employee will be promoted to full-time. 3 from the November 4 and 1 from January 6. So include 1 grant contract position. So that's the basic information. Really thank you, appreciate all employee and hard work and all board commissioner support. Hopefully, whether you come in next Thursday, we join our appreciation for the seasonal employee. And that's the summertime, we have the meeting, our employee meeting. Usually just the monthly, the manager meeting. That's a really good opportunity to support our employee. We have some kind of certification for their service for them, everything.
What time is it again?
That's at 10 o'clock. Also, we have after the meeting, we have practice the presentation. Our staff are going to Florida Muscle Control Association meeting. They presented to our employee knew what they're doing, what they're going to present. Also, good opportunity training our employee knew what they have done, science, more communication. I try to, after they receive the list, I try to contact with the New Ireland center so they can publish it forward, somebody can join interested. As a part of our job, part of the agreement. Like yesterday, we have one visitor scientist from India, National Institute of Malaria. He left today. Before yesterday, he gave a presentation overview his institute and what he done in here. He's a very hard worker. I never see like this. Within 7 weeks, produce lots of work. I was very surprised in my life. Deal with many people. He was very, very impressed. Yeah. So that also last week we have one professor 2 from Taiwan university coming for 2 months and study for the dormant, doing he brought some kind of new repellent treatment, also doing some kind of nematode for larvicide. It's started writing protocol and start prepare. They work very hard. It was learning each other, help each other. So use our facility as more open. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask him a question? Rudy, you say under the insurance, you said that the crime coverage was increased? The crime coverage limits were increased?
It's,
What was it increased to? Do you remember?
It's 2,500 something.
250,000?
No,
Because it was-
You mean
2,500.
it costs us $2,000
Oh, the cost of
more,
$500,000.
but
Oh, so it's
Remedy.
500,000 limits.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
$500
And it cost the
increase,
district.
cost the 2,500 increase.
Thank you. And then the next question is, where are we with the travel policy and the travel insurance cost?
Yeah, we work on. You want to talking to us when can help us doing something. Before you said me something, University of Florida, poor
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
And something that overkill for us.
Well, we said that we were going to have something back to the board by November, at the November meeting.
November, yes,
So,
on the agenda.
yeah, we need that, so, because the travel insurance is going to be dependent on that travel policy.
Yeah, we work on. He gave us some form, which country you're going to fill for.
So he already gave you that? Okay.
Yeah, he gave me a form,
He
right.
said they're working on it and they'll present it in November.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you, Dr.
The insurance agent was supposed to come back to y'all
Let's
and
not-
give
no.
you a report
No.
about the arbitration clause, and Dr. Shu was kind enough to send me a copy of the prior insurance contract. I still haven't seen the current one, the current proposed one that y'all approved.
We receive, I will forward to you.
But we need to make sure there's no mandatory cram-down arbitration clause in that contract. And if there is, we need to take it out. Thank you.
Ms. Myers?
Well-
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I know we're not really supposed to talk that back or whatever, but if you remember when the guy was here, he said that there is no policies that don't have that.
The arbitration.
Yeah, he said we'd have to do private or whatever.
I found him to be condescending and maladroit,
Excuse
and I don't agree.
Did anybody,
And I wrote an article for the Judges Journal with Judge Gwill back in 1989 called Arrest to Unfairness, the Downside to Alternative Dispute Resolution. There is no reason that any government agency should ever agree to arbitration of disputes, as they call them, right? This is a government agency, and we should not be dictated to by an insurance guy. He's not qualified to give you legal advice. We've got learned counsel. She hasn't said anything about it, but I know that St. Johns County and St. Augustine and the city of St. Augustine Beach have all agreed with me and said we are not agreeing to any arbitration clauses in the future. And Wayne had agreed with me on that too. Eventually,
Yeah.
Jeannie was the one holdout who said, let's not do this, but she won the board and the board agreed, no arbitration clauses. But let's not let any sneaky insurance salesman give you legal advice. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Myers?
I have no report.
Okay. Commissioner comments?
No comment this evening.
I'd like to take the opportunity to personally thank Commissioner Becker for her hard work and a job well done, and tell her how much we all appreciate it. And I hope you'll look forward to many years on this board.
Thank you.
And I'll second that. You did a great job. You did a great job. Commissioner Gleason, do you have any comments?
No, thank you again, Trish, for doing that. Appreciate that.
Commissioner Becker?
All right, I'll keep it quick
Don't-
because, but
Because you're going to have to buy us dinner if you don't.
Egypt is now malaria free, so woo, there's one country down. We got more to go. And I just want to thank all the staff and the staff that we do have here. Please let the rest of the staff know that we are working hard on everything that's related to HR issues. Do not give up. It's going to be fixed very soon, and we look forward to a wonderful year.
And Morgan, don't forget Christmas.
We cannot be bribed.
Yes. However, flowers and candy are appreciated.
What kind of flowers?
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.